What's up, everybody? It's week 2 of the NFL season, and Fantasy Six Pack is here to help you through it. I'm your host today, Dylan Clemons, for the Sunday Social. I have Matt with me from the Parlay FF guys right out the gate to help with us our betting strategies for the week. After Matt comes on, we got multiple-time top 5 ranker Joe Bonnie coming on to discuss his rankings for 15 minutes. Then, for the next hour, we'll be answering your start-sit questions for this week. But Matt, before we jump into things, man, how you doing? How has this week treated you with your Thursday night bets and your college football bets, my man?
Oh man, this week, as we talked a little bit before the pod actually kicked off, I got a little, it was a little rough for me this last weekend. Ended up going 4-6 in college bets, which isn't ideal. It's not the end of the world. You always kind of have these weeks where you go into a slight slump and then you catch fire again. But as long as you are just responsible about it and you keep doing your research, you'll come back on top. So we look to bounce back this weekend and next week.
Absolutely. Let's go, man. So what do you got to kick us off here with your first favorite bet this week?
All right. So my first favorite bet this week is actually the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals going home for their first home game. They're -3.5 right now. I know they're playing the Jaguars, and there has been a little skepticism on, do the Jags bounce back? The run game for the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of scares me against this Cincinnati Bengals defense. But listen, last week, the Bengals just did not get things rolling on offense. They did not look very good. You're talking about what should be one of the most potent offenses in the NFL with the weapons that they got. Jacksonville's still a mediocre defense. They're worse than the Bengals defense, the Browns defense from last week. So I look for Cincinnati being at home, get back on track, get things right with their offense. And I just hope that they can score enough and their defense hold the Jaguars, who I still think are trying to figure out what the dynamic is going to be between BTJ and Travis Hunter. As we saw last week, BTJ did not do good with 1 reception on 7 targets. ETN stole the show. So I hope the Bengals defense can get a couple stops and their offense can just get a little bit ahead and they just keep that lead. So I'm going to take the Bengals -3.5.
I like that one, Matt. And like you said, you alluded to it, the Jacksonville stuff is interesting. And from a fantasy football perspective, your panic meter has to be going up a little bit with the Brian Thomas Jr. stuff, man, because last year he didn't necessarily break out until Trevor Lawrence went down with the injury, and it was Mac Jones kind of chucking it all over the field for him. So it's a little worrisome for BTJ owners.
Yeah, and the way I look at it too is you hit it right on the head. It looks like Trevor Lawrence is still the same old Trevor Lawrence of old. Yeah. Mac Jones might have been a better option for at least some of those high-powered offenses. The crazy part is when you say panic meter, and I don't disagree. Like, I don't think it should be full panic in the streets because BTJ is one of the top wide receivers. But, kind of getting off the betting topic, if you drafted him in fantasy in the into the first round, you're probably a little concerned about what that dynamic is going to be with Travis Hunter there.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially they're manufacturing touches for Travis Hunter too. They're hitting him with these little bubble screens, some end arounds and stuff. So they want to get the ball in his hands, and obviously that's going to take chances away from BTJ. But it'll be interesting, man, to see. That's for sure. But what do you got here for your next one, man?
So the next one, I'm actually going to go off one of my co-hosts from our podcast here. I really like this line now. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys -4.5 playing at home against the New York Giants, who are absolutely atrocious. The line opened at 4.5, and then it jumped up to 5.5, and now it's back down to 4.5 on certain betting sites where I do a lot of my bets is on DraftKings for the NFL anyway. It's at 4.5 on DraftKings, and listen here. Dak he always seems to be forgotten, right? He's left for dead. You don't draft him in fantasy till like the 11th round, 9th round, whatever it is. Yeah. Dak Prescott, when he's on, he is a top quarterback. I mean, he could be a top 12 quarterback. I mean, hell, he's finished in the top 5 before. CeeDee Lamb had some drops last week, right? George Pickens didn't really get involved. being that they're back at home this week, and their defense didn't look absolutely terrible, right? They did some good things on defense. Obviously, Micah Parsons makes that better, but he's no longer there. So Dallas being at home here, I think they're going to get George Pickens involved this week a little bit more. And you're going up against a Giants defense who their front seven is good. They have a very good pass rush. Don't get me wrong. But if Dak can get that ball out of his hands to these high-powered weapons quick, I don't think the secondary can hold down George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And I really think that they are going to really, really get some things going this week. So I'm going to take Dallas -4.5 against this New York Giants football team.
I like that too, man. And that Giants offense is just inept right now, and it has been the last few years. I heard it somewhere. They haven't scored a touchdown in 3 straight season openers, Matt. That's crazy.
That's wild.
And Brian Dabble came in there supposed to be this offensive genius, coming from Buffalo when he had with Josh Allen and stuff, but he just hasn't been able to get it really going outside of that first year with them. It's disappointing, man. And every game that they lose, that seat gets a little warmer for Dabble, I feel like.
You're 100% accurate. You're 100% accurate. It's the Giants just, I don't know, with Russell Wilson being the quarterback there, they better do something different quick, because Malik Neighbors don't like it.
No, he does not. And I thought it was pretty funny that Neighbors said he has a little bit of RBF going on all the time, a little bit of resting, with his face. So you got to love that, man. So
that's right.
Well, man, what do you got here for your third one?
So my third one here, the lines moved on this game as well. I took it when the lines were at -4.5 when it opened, and now it's jumped to in between 6.5 and 6. You can get it at -6 over on DraftKings right now. I'm going to keep, last week the Lions, I had some bets going on with the Lions last week, and obviously that was wrong. The Packers must be one of the best teams in the NFL because they completely shut this offense down. It was in Lambeau Field. However, they are back home this week, and they're playing the Chicago Bears. And I've heard a couple people take the Chicago Bears side, which I don't necessarily think it's a terrible play if you want to play for some risks, right? The Lions at home in the Dome are scary, and even though their offense couldn't get things going last week, I think they're going to get things going this week. For Jahmyr Gibbs, 10 receptions and 31 yards, the lowest a player has ever had yardage totals when you get 10 receptions. That's not going to happen every single week. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of, if not, probably not the best. Bijan's probably the best, but he's one of the better running backs in the NFL. Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't look good. Jameson Williams didn't look good last week. Being that the Lions are back at home this week, Coach Campbell, I think, is going to get things right for this team. And it's either going to go very good or it's going to go very bad. And I lean towards being at home, this Lions offense being extremely scary for the Chicago Bears defense. So give me the Lions -6 in this game. I like the number if it stays around that, which it should. Obviously, it's game day today. So,
yep. Yeah, man, I'm a Bears fan, but you're on the right track here, man. I don't know if I see the Bears going on the road here, winning this. Ben Johnson's first real road test here, and it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows that we saw on Monday with the Bears offense either, outside of the first 15 plays that were scripted. And I don't see the Lions falling to 0-2. I don't see it. I feel like they're going to go back to the drawing board. They're going to get the offense humming a little bit.
Yeah, it's
a little bit more.
It's very hard to see that. And I know Ben Johnson's coming home for what they call a revenge game. But it's back in Detroit. It's back in Detroit, and I think Coach Campbell's going to have this team fired up. Caleb Williams looked very athletic, right? He looked very good for part of that game. And then it kind of went downhill from there. So I don't know. Does he get things right this week? Maybe, but I just don't see it happen in Detroit.
Yep. Agreed there. And Matt, before we get you out of here, I just want to bring up a couple games here for you that have kind of caught my eye a little bit. And the first one, if I'm not mistaken, you're a Steelers fan, right?
I am. Yep.
I wanted to touch on this one. I'm looking at over on DraftKings. They're favored by just 3.5 at home against Seattle, a team that I liked heading into the season, man. But they struggled in week 1 at home. West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, man. Early kickoff for them. What are your thoughts here on with the Steelers being 3.5-point favorites at home?
Well, this is another game I was going to bring up at. It was between this game and the Lions game. I actually like the Steelers minus 3.5. And that's not me being a homer player. I do. Obviously, the Steelers are my favorite team, but the Steelers looked good week 1. They looked good, and they put up 38 points with everybody saying washed up Aaron Rodgers. He had over 300 yards passing and 4 touchdowns with everybody saying this Steelers offense is absolutely terrible. DK Metcalf obviously is a weapon. Calvin Austin got involved. They involved Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. I'm not saying they're the best team in the league because they're not, but they're piecing things together. Their defense did not look good, and I looked them to get back on track this week against the Seattle Seahawks, who traveled a lot of miles to get there. So it's a home game for the Steelers. And again, I don't necessarily always go against home teams, but I think the Steelers, I think this number might be a little bit too low. And I know the reason why Vegas does it is the Steelers games are always low. If they're favored, it's always only by 3 points, 2.5, 3.5, whatever. I think the Steelers are going to figure things out on defense, and this offense will keep clicking a little bit. So I do like the Steelers at home minus 3.
I love it. Yeah, that's the way that I was leaning as well. And then another one here. This one's interesting to me. And I know there's no Brock Purdy. I know there's no George Kittle for the 49ers, but them only being 3-point favorites against the Saints, who I think are still pretty bad, man. What are your thoughts here of San Francisco being road favorites by 3 points on the road in New Orleans? And can we get some value with the 49ers here?
Obviously, with anytime Christian McCaffrey is going to be healthy, the 49ers are always going to be favorites, I feel like. But I do agree with you. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is the biggest weapon, outside of, maybe Ricky Pearsall. I think Juwan Jennings is playing again. I actually haven't heard if he's back from his little injury. But the big thing is, Dylan, it's the Christian McCaffrey show. Mac Jones, what are they going to let him do? I know he has been a veteran quarterback, a seasoned quarterback, and they've let him throw the ball. But the weapons aren't the biggest, right? And they're playing against the Saints, who obviously could be playing for the worst team in the league.
Yes.
But I don't know. I actually am staying away from this game a little bit. I don't like the number. I don't like these teams. I don't like the number. I think it's a little bit of a trap game because I'm sure a lot of people have tapped the Saints in this game, being how a lot of the value is gone for the 49ers. I don't like this game. If it were me, I'm staying away from it, and I'm just going to see what happens.
All right. No, totally fair there. And then just one more quick one before I get you out of here. Battle in the AFC East. We got the New England Patriots going on the road against Miami, who looked like the worst team in the NFL after week 1. Miami's favored by 1.5 at home here. New England didn't look good either, Matt, against Vegas, allowing over 350 yards passing to Geno Smith. Do you see the Dolphins' offense maybe getting back on track against, I guess we could say, bad Patriots secondary without Christian Gonzalez again?
I mean, I can see it. I think it's in the range of outcomes. This team looks just in total turmoil, though.
Yeah.
It's turmoil. Jalen Waddle on the field, then off the field, then hurt, and comes back. And, he's always on and off the field. Tyreek Hill, laughing at reporters when they ask him, you haven't had a 30-yard game. Like, it seems like a lot of media stuff to me, and there just seems to be a lot of turmoil between Mike McDaniels. Is he on the hot seat? Is he going to get fired? Is he not going to get fired? I do think there's a range of outcomes that the Dolphins can get back on track. But I think it's actually in better form that the Patriots get on track. Mm-hmm. So if I were to tap this game, I would take the risk in taking the New England Patriots at plus money. I think the Patriots are just a more solid team. Sure. And I could see them upsetting.
I love that, man. I love to hear that. Yeah, hopefully especially in the fantasy world, we wanted Drake May to take that next step. And after one game, he didn't quite get there, but juicy matchup for him today. So hopefully he balls out, and I could see him taking New England on the road and winning that game, like you said. But Matt, great stuff as always. We appreciate you being here every Sunday morning throughout the season. Before we get you out of here, man, why don't you go ahead and plug away?
Yeah, so you guys can find us. We stream live on Tuesdays. It's our betting episode where we give out a couple free plays for you guys. Remember to check out fantasy6pack.net, become an all-access member so you can see all of our bets plus much, much, much more. But you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcast at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast or here on YouTube through Fantasy Six Pack.
Love it, Matt. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
All right, guys. Catch you later. Good luck.
All right, guys, before we transition over to the next segment, I just want to remind everyone who's listening, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And while you're at it, how about you open a new tab in your browser and head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans to become an all-access member. And that's where you get access to Joe Bond's award-winning rankings, our draft cheat sheets, and access to our Discord where you can come in there and ask us any questions you want any time of day. And I bet you someone's going to be there to answer it. Once again, that's fantasy6pack.net/plans to become an all access member. But without further ado, let's add Joe Bond here, founder of Fantasy Six Pack, to the show. Joe, happy Sunday, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Looking forward to a exciting week 2.
Absolutely. And we're just going to jump right into your rankings here. We got Joe Baker Mayfield, everyone's quarterback darling from last season. Wasn't a great debut from him. He did throw a couple touchdowns in week 1, but you have him 5 spots lower this week than consensus at quarterback 17. I'm sorry, real quick. I'm blanking on who the Buccaneers play. They play against Houston, so it is a tough matchup. So what are your thoughts here on Baker this week, Joe?
Yeah, look, I mentioned this on the Thursday show. I got asked this very similar question. It's not so much that I don't like Baker Mayfield this week. There's just a lot of really nice matchups in front of him. Caleb against Detroit. I know we just, Matt just talked about that game. Detroit's defense did not look great last week. So, and I'll be honest, Caleb Williams, he mentioned how athletic he looked. That first half was really, really nice. And then I don't know what happened. It's like he decided he didn't really want to run anymore until he finally scrambled for the touchdown late. But it was like, if we can get more of the first half Caleb Williams, I think he can do a little bit better than Baker can. JJ McCarthy, who had a really rocky first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter was pretty awesome. Gets Atlanta, who we know defense isn't great. Baker just got them last week, and was pretty good. Trevor Lawrence gets Cincy. He had a bad first week, but Cincy is not good. Dak, who also had a bad week, gets the Giants. Not good. So there's just a lot of really nice matchups sitting right in front of Baker. Like, if you want to start Baker in front of any of those guys, it's whatever. Like, they're all, dude, I'm telling you, like the margin of difference between these guys right now, all 5 of those that I just mentioned, is not much.
I feel that, man. I feel that. And it makes sense for Baker to be the odd man out for you to lower him in your rankings. It's Houston's defense is really good, and they're kind of looking just to muck things up, kind of similar to what we saw in that Rams game last week. Because, Joe, I don't know if you caught a lot of that game, but it was ugly between those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, you shutting down the Rams passing offense like they did, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a high octane passing offense, especially with Puka and Devontae Adams now in town.
Yep, no doubt, man. Switching over to positions, looking at running backs, we're going to talk about Mr. Javonte Williams. Joe, you have him 5 spots higher than the consensus here at RB16. He's taken on the Giants, who you alluded to earlier. Front 7 of the Giants is pretty good, but what's giving you confidence to be able to start Javonte Williams as an RB2 in your fantasy lineups this week?
Yeah, I think right now it's just we know the workload's going his way. The the Giants, yeah, you mentioned the front seven might be good, but I still don't think like they're that good. You can run on them, and nobody's afraid. Nobody's really afraid of the Giants, man. Like the Commanders didn't even look good really in week 1, and they still won this game pretty easily, right? We saw how much of a difference it was when they played the Packers on Thursday night, and it was like a real defense. It was like, oh no, they're not actually that great. They got a lot of work to do. So I think Javonte can do some good stuff. Miles Sanders was the second back last week, and he fumbled. So who knows how much that's going to cause him to lose even more workload there. I just think this is a prime matchup for him to exploit, and yeah, I'm right now I'm in on Javonte Williams. We'll see if this continues when Jaden Blue starts getting more and more involved, and we'll see how it goes. We've seen moments of greatness from Javonte, and then they go away pretty quickly. But right now, I think you can ride it.
Yep, I'm with you, man. And it was a surprise seeing Jaden Blue as inactive last week, but I'm with you. I think we ride Javonte until we see otherwise, and we see Jaden Blue integrated into the offense. So I'm with you there.
Mm-hmm.
One guy who I'm not sure I'm with you here on is Mr. Breece Hall this week, Joe, who you have down 7 spots lower than ECR. You have him as your RB20 going against the Buffalo Bills, who are without Ed Oliver this week. So, and Breece Hall had a solid week 1. So what are your thoughts here? Why are you knocking Breece down a little bit this week in your rankings?
Yeah, I don't know how much I can really take away. And I mentioned this to a few people. I don't know how much I can really take away from any of those Buffalo Ravens games. They're always wild and like high scoring, and like that. Those games never really show how good either defense is. So like, it's just, they're just always crazy. It's just nuts, man. I do think the Bills defense is way better than what you saw in week 1. Obviously the Ravens are going to make a lot of people's run defense look really, really bad. Do I think Breece Hall might be a little bit better than what we all were thinking coming into the season? A lot of the question marks, maybe Justin Fields is better. I don't know. Like week 1, again, it might be a little bit of an overreaction, and maybe I'm not reacting enough to it. Yeah, he looked good. But he's also like, he wasn't involved in the passing game at all. Like we know that there's not going to be a lot of passing volume, but we only caught 2, right? Braylon Allen was still involved last week. Still saw, a good number of carries as well. And so I think there's going to be something there. Obviously you worry about Justin Fields. There's just a lot of factors that make me still hesitate to push Breece Hall above some of these other running backs. But, early, if he does it again, I'm going to have to adjust, but I'm hesitating for now.
No, that makes some sense, Joe. I get it, why you'd be a little bit hesitant there. But what I like to see is, and you alluded to it, he looked good again finally, because last year it didn't look like he had quite the juice that we saw 2 years ago pre the ACL injury, but at least he looked good last week. So that was great to see. Looked electric, looked shifty, all that good stuff. So now switching over to the wide receiver positions, we got 3 wide receivers here that we're going to wrap your segment up with, Joe. The first one being T. Higgins, who you have 5 spots higher than consensus here as wide receiver 9, locked in your lineups as a wide receiver 1 this week, Joe. The Bengals are playing Jacksonville, who head coach Liam Cohen did say that we will see Travis Hunter more on defense this week. So what's giving you a little bit of excitement here with T. Higgins being as your wide receiver 9?
Look, I'm not backing away from this Cincy offense. Week 1, we know how slow the Cincy offense likes to start out every single year, it feels like. They did the exact same thing last year. I actually wrote a trade targets article for USA Today, and I was doing some research on last week's and last year, and saying how, look, you can't do not overreact in week one. Like the really good players are going to have a bad week. It gets magnified because it's week one. And I was doing research and I was looking at like, oh, Joe Burrow had a really terrible week one, almost the exact same number of fantasy points last year in week one to this year. Just crazy, right? And so, but look what he did. And look what T. Higgins did. And then look what Jamar Chase did. I'm not out. And Jacksonville's defense, no bueno. Like, let's go. They're back. We're gonna see it this week.
I love it, man. I hope so. I truly hope so, because that offense did not look good for the Bengals week one. And it makes me wonder, man, about Zach Taylor as a coach, because we've seen it every year in and year out, just how bad they are in September. But I'm with you. That won't happen again, what we saw in week one. You could almost stamp that. The next wide receiver I want to talk to you about, Joe, is Tyreek Hill, who everybody seems to be out on, except for you, my friend. You still have Tyreek Hill as wide receiver.
I'm not
15,
the only one. I promise that.
12 spots higher than ECR. Let me say that again. 12 spots higher, Joe has Tyreek Hill taking on New England, who it doesn't sound like Christian Gonzalez is going to play once again. So it is a juicy matchup here for Tyreek Hill. What are your thoughts on him this week?
Man, I know it was bad for Miami, and I'm one of the ones that is saying, maybe sell on everybody from this Miami offense if you can get something decent value, except for maybe Achane. That said, I think people are really overreacting to a bad week one. There's a lot of good things to take from week one outside of just like he only scored 6 fantasy or however many fantasy points it was. It wasn't great. I don't have the exact number in front of me. He's still look, he got pulled. I think they pulled their starters early fourth quarter. So he would have had more, right? And they were down. I mean, safe to say they'll probably be unless their offense just completely takes off. I think they'll lose this game too. And because their defense clearly isn't stopping anybody.
Yeah, they stink.
So, I think there's going to be a lot of passing situations. And if Tua can just look even 50% better than what he looked last week, we're going to get a much better Tyreek Hill. He saw there's a lot of really good stats, and I've got to credit pull them up here. It's slow to load. Hang on 1 second. Yeah. So got to credit, I believe it is Derek Brown, Fantasy Pros here. Look, 27.8 target share, had 48% of the air yards last week, 2.5 yards per route run. There's a lot of things to like about that, right? He's still the go-to guy for Tua. This team just needs to get better. Rocky week one. I think they are a better offense than what we saw in week one. I don't think they're anywhere close to what we saw 2 years ago.
Agreed.
But I think dropping him all the way down to, I have him 15. You're talking, I'm 12. So almost wide receiver 27.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking, you're starting Marquise Brown over him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going that far. I get Marquise Brown and who his quarterback is, and he is probably the wide receiver 1 there. Nah. Dude, we're not seeing 15 targets go Marquise Brown's way again. That was a weird, mid-game. They know what else. They don't have a game plan for losing Xavier Worthy. First drive of the game. So it was, hey, Marquise Brown, you're the guy.
Yep, for sure, man. One more receiver who a lot of people seem out on already, even though it was a brutal matchup in week one, and that's Calvin Ridley, Joe. You have him as wide receiver 26, which is 10 spots higher than consensus as well, taking on the Rams this week. Look, I know Ridley had a couple drops last week. Surtain was covering him most of the game as well, but you got to think it's going to be better this week, Joe. So what are your thoughts here on Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, I mean, you basically just said it. That was a brutal week one matchup for the rookie quarterback. The Rams defense is pretty solid. So it's not an awesome matchup, by any means, but it'll be much better. You know, Ridley's still going to be the guy that they're going to target the most in that offense, and you just have to play the volume game right now, and you know, until we start getting more trends. I'm not going to overreact after a bad week one when I had Calvin Ridley, you know, as a guy who I really liked coming into the season.
Yep. Yeah, guys, after week one, you got to do your best to try not to overreact. And this feels like an overreaction here. Having him as wide receiver 36 as an industry seems wild, man, Joe. So I think you're on the right track here. But all right, man. That's it for your segment. But before we get you out of here, let everyone know where they can find your work, and go ahead and plug away.
Yeah, of course, Fantasy Six Packs, where you're going to find most of my stuff. Twitter, X, whatever it's called, F6P_Joe. I'm over on Blue Sky as well. And yeah, I'm writing a couple pieces for USA Today this year as well. A trade targets article that comes out on Mondays, and then a sleepers streamers article that gets put out on Fridays. So that's what I got. Good luck, guys, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Awesome. Great stuff as always, Joe. We will talk to you next week, my friend.
See.
All right, guys. We're transitioning into the start-sit portion of the show now. We appreciate all the comments we got waiting for us. So without further ado, let's bring to the stage. We got Mr. Keith Fleming, Ike Bonnie, Kyle Senra, and Keith, I'll let you take the floor here, man. How are you feeling after that awesome Georgia-Tennessee game yesterday, man? Watched all of it. That game was fantastic.
How about them dogs? Just unreal. I love Kirby Smart. I love how his teams, it doesn't matter how the game starts, they always fight back. And kudos to the Tennessee coach for just the most chicken. I don't want to swear, so you know what I'm about to say. You have a chance to put the game away. You run it up the middle 3 times, settle for 3 points. You just had 2 back-to-back 75-yard touchdown drives, and I knew when they did that we had a chance. Just so excited, man. And also happy for Gunnar Stockton. A lot of people were questioning, is he the guy? And I think he proved yesterday why they believe in him. So very excited. Wish I could say the same for the Falcons. I can't. But how about them dogs?
No doubt. Kyle, how you feeling, man, after your Packers kicked the crap out of – the score was a lot closer than the game was, I felt like, on Thursday night. How you feeling, my friend?
It was perfect because I've got Jaden Daniels in a bunch of leagues too, and he did just enough to do well in fantasy. So it was the best possible scenario. It was amazing.
Love it. Ike, good to see you this morning, man. We're not feeling as good being Bears fans after what we saw from Monday, but at least the Illini won yesterday for us, so that was good to see, even though it was an ugly one. But guys, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into some questions. We had one here bright and early this morning. We got one full point PPR, need to flex one guy, Travion Henderson, Travis Hunter, or Jameson Williams. Keith, we'll start with you this week. Let you take it away. What do you got out of these 3 guys?
I would lean slightly JMO over Henderson. Golf much better in the dome, but most importantly, Bears ran the most man defense of any team week 1. Jared Goff is unbelievable versus the man defense. So is Jameson Williams. If you look at what he did in the second game last year to him, I think he put up like 30 points or something. He had like 140 yards and I think a touchdown or 2. I think he's got a chance to do that. He has a little bit more upside, and I think they just want to get this passing offense going after last week. So I would lean him, but I do also like Travion Henderson as somebody who could have a breakout performance with the Pats saying they got to do better in the run game, and we know that's not Ramondre Stevenson.
Yep. The Pats need to just do more things to get Travion Henderson the ball. I agree with you there. Kyle, let's say you. What do you got here from these 3 guys?
So in full PPR, as much as Henderson was the pass catching back, I think I've got to definitely go with one of these receivers. And I get the concern I have with Williams will be brought up in another question very soon. It's the same scenario where I still feel like the tight end is going to be the number 2 target. It's always this offense is going to run this year through Amon-Ra and Ford. And so in spite of Williams' success last year against the Bears. I'm listening to a lot of DFS content, a lot of great stuff. There's a great show on Fantasy Six Pack with Flemming. Going for 2, Jeff Lambert. They got a great DFS show as well. And everyone's talking about Bengals Jags as one of the games to stack. So I want to lean into that and say Hunter, thinking that game environment against the Bengals should be a lot of pass attempts. Looks like Hunter's locked in to be one of those top 2 targets. I think his ability to be better than Bretton Strange, I have more confidence in that than Jameson Williams over the Williams. So I'm going Travis.
Mike, before you answer, I just want to ask Kyle one follow-up. Liam Cohen did say earlier in the week that they're going to try to work in Travis Hunter a little bit more defensively. Does that give you any sort of worry here as a fantasy owner for Travis Hunter?
Yes, and I think I brought it up. If the more this goes on, it feels like the more hesitation we'll have. So I still say you may as well play him early. And I'm still in that phase of let's see that defense really limit his offense before we think it will. So based on what we saw week 1, he was didn't he lead the team in targets?
I think he had like 8, maybe 6.
Yeah,
8.
I believe he led the team in targets.
I think he had 8 and Thomas had 7. So they already showed that's what it's going to be. I'm going to just continue to operate him as a clear number 2 target in this team until proven otherwise.
Totally fair. Ike, what are your thoughts here?
I'm going to lean Jameson Williams. Like Keith said, he did do pretty well with him in his last game. And in his last 3 games, he scored 2 touchdowns in 2 of those games. So I like Jameson against the Bears. They struggle for some reason against Jared Goff and him. So that's why I'll lean.
All right. Totally fair there. We got one here from Andrew, half-point PPR. I've got Ferguson and Fannin on my team as tight ends. He's leaning towards Fannin thoughts. I feel like we're going to be asked quite a few of Harold Fannin questions this week. So this is just the start. Ike, what are your thoughts here on Ferguson or Fannin?
I'm going to go Ferguson because Fannin still has to deal with Njoku, and I still think Njoku is better right now.
Okay. We'll go with you. What are your thoughts?
It looked like he didn't necessarily have to deal with Njoku. They kind of played Fannin as like the
they played together a lot, but still, I would like to think Njoku's number 1 in the pecking order between them.
I mean, to be fair, Fannin did get more targets than Njoku last week. I expect a lot of weeks Judy and Njoku will be the top 2 targets. I think last week it was Tillman and Fannin. So like it does feel like those are 4 featured pieces in the offense. I like it this week because we just think there's going to be a ton of pass attempts again. Like the only way they're going to keep up with the Ravens is by throwing the ball a ton. And so I'm willing to take the shot on Fannin, what we saw last week. Now, the reason you want Ferguson is what I just said with the Lions. This is an offense where it trusts the tight end more than the number 2 receiver. Dak's done that for years. So this is pretty tough. I think they're really close in my rankings, but I ended up having Fannin a little bit.
All right. Keith, what do you got?
I'm in on Fannin. Like it was just the way they used him week 1 that I think it proves they know what they have here. And he is a dynamic weapon. We're seeing more and more of these tight ends that are really kind of pass catchers come into the league, and they're just terrible mismatches. I mean, he played 72% of the snaps, ran routes on almost 70% of the passing plays, 29% targets per route run, almost 2 yards per route run as well. But then just the way they used him, 29% of the time he was lined up in the slot, 6% in the backfield. Again, they were moving him all over the place. Love that he had a rush attempt and 2 screens thrown to him. So again, they're finding ways to get him the ball, and then they're playing a defense that just made Dalton Kincaid fantasy relevant, and that alone should be enough for you to feel confident about both Njoku and Fan. Because I like Njoku this week as well. I think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot in that Cleveland game, and really it's a 4-target offense. Like I really believe it's going to come down to Fannin, Njoku, Tillman, and Judy. And the point was made, and he's right, that it was not eating into Njoku. He was actually eating into the receivers. Basically route percentage and stuff. So I really like Fannin this week. This is to me a great matchup for him. And if he has another performance like last week, where they're just finding a million different ways to get him the ball, I think he's a consistent tight end 1 this year potentially.
You love to hear that. I'm assuming he's in your DFS player pool this week.
Oh
Keith,
yeah,
too?
3,100 on DraftKings. He's one of the best values I feel like out there.
Oh, yeah, that is a great price here. Switching over to Logan's question, we got full point PPR. His toughest choices are who to sit between David Njoku and Juwan Johnson. Starting at the tight end position, and then he's got a two-parter with Prescott or Fields. Starting with the first part here, Kyle, between Njoku and Juwan Johnson.
I mean, Ike said it earlier. Njoku's amazing, and we were talking about it. Like he and Fannin, they can both operate. So I'm comfortable going Fannin in the last pick and going Njoku again here. Juwan Johnson did lead all tight ends in targets, but we also saw it last year. Week 1 was incredible for Juwan Johnson and for Foster Moreau, and I'm pretty sure one of them they both put up 0 the week after, and one of them had 0 targets. So is that just a 1 week thing against the Cardinals? Traditionally, a team that's been very suspect against tight ends. They both have tough matchups. The Ravens, 49ers defenses are both incredible. So Njoku, I think we just expect week in, week out targets every week consistently. I'll rely on Njoku. Yeah. I'm for sure going Fields. Just that upside, I think you got to start him every week until he shows you can't. And so Ravens just put up a ton of points. Lamar, in a similar way, we expect Fields to also be able to put up a lot of points that same way. So I easily go Fields over Prescott.
I've been intrigued with that Buffalo defense, man. Was it just Lamar and them picking them apart in that run game? They don't have Ed Oliver this week, too, which is interesting. So Justin Fields is intriguing. But Keith, what do you got here for these two questions?
So the QB question, I don't understand why people do not believe in Justin Fields. I talked about this all summer. He has averaged at least 19 points per game as a starter the last 3 years. And then, obviously, week 1 went out and balled again. Points per dropback the last 3 years. 0.7 in 2022, 0.53 in 2023, 0.62 in 2024. That's top 6 among QBs. The only 3 QBs that I am definitely starting over Fields are Allen, Hurts, and Lamar. That's the end of the list. He is just, again, 19 points per game. This is a 4-year sample size. I don't understand what people are doing. And then, the passing looked great, last week. I love the designs that they did. They're only asking him to do what he excels in. And we saw Fields for the first time since the season with DJ Moore, really push the ball down the field. 31% of his passes traveled 10-plus air yards. We have not seen that Justin Fields in quite some time. So I do. I just love Justin Fields this week. And, I mean, if you're talking for volume, I think Juwan Johnson's going to get more volume. But the Niners have Fred Warner. And that is the best cover linebacker in the NFL. So I would have to go with Njoku. I know normally I'm always going to go with volume, but this is a terrible matchup. And if you're the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator and you see how much Johnson was targeted week 1, that would be the first thing I'd try to take away. Make him throw the ball down the field, because when Rattler does that, typically he turns it over. So I would go Njoku. I understand if you want to go Juwan Johnson. To me, it's a toss-up, and I understand Dak has a great matchup. But again, Fields is just, for me, an automatic start because of his rushing upside. He's going to have a high floor week in and week out.
So many great field stats. I swear I thought I heard them on a DFS podcast on Fantasy Six Pack.
Love it. Ike here. What do you got, man?
I'm not getting burned this week, so I'm going to go Fields. Last week I got burned pretty hard by it, so although Prescott's going to be fine, you can feel safe starting him too, and then it's Njoku for me, like I said before.
All right, totally fair. Another question here from Andrew. Are we jumping off the Pickens bandwagon for Jacoby Myers in the flex? Ike, let's say you. What do you got?
Yeah, I like Jacoby this week. He's, for some reason, always getting A-plus targets in his games. Bowers should play, but is a little banged up, which is huge for him. I mean, Bowers will still be out there, but I expect a 10-plus target game for Myers again.
Right on. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
The same reason I'm picking against Jameson Williams is for Pickens. I still think Laporta, in this case Ferguson, are the secondary targets in the offense. And with the Giants' aggressive pass rush, Pickens' downfield targets might not be there again this week. It might be, we favor Lamb in the slot, Ferguson as a tight end, out of necessity to defend against the pass rush of the Giants, which is really the only strength of the defense. So you beat them quick. That's probably what the Cowboys' game plan is going to be this week. So a lot of Ferguson, which is weird going against him in that one question, but kind of see the same for Phantom, but definitely because it's half PPR, right? Like I look back to his question, like that format you think favors Pickens, but like Ike said, I just think Jacoby's going to get so much volume that it doesn't even matter.
That makes sense, man. And the Raiders showing you they're willing that if the game script goes that way to just let Geno chuck it everywhere, with him throwing for over 350 yards last week. So yeah, I feel you. Keith, are you making it a clean sweep here with Jacoby over Pickens, or are you gonna go Georgie boy here?
No, I mean, I agree with everything they said. The only caveat I would add is this is one of those like fantasy questions where if you think you have a very bad chance of winning your matchup and you need some like huge boom plays to potentially, win, I'm okay with starting Pickens here because he obviously probably could have a monster game on just 2-3 receptions. But again, if you're just going for who is the smarter play, who's going to score more points, probably 8 out of 10 times, it's definitely Jacoby Myers for all the reasons the guys just said.
No doubt.
1 o'clock games, you don't really get much clarity for that. Like if that was even a 4 o'clock start, you'd maybe have enough games to tell you, okay, you really need the upside. But yeah, it's tough to make that call and pick Pickens right now.
Oh boy, this one's interesting.
From Brendan here, Keith, we'll let you take this one to start. We got pick one out of Roma Dunze, Travis Hunter, or Kayshon Boutte, someone who's been pretty good with Drake May his last 4 games. So what are your thoughts here out of these 3 guys?
Such a smart man, Dylan. Yeah, Boutte is another guy that I don't understand, like why people are doubting him at this point. This is a big sample size. If you look from this week and the 4 to end last season, he is a top 5 receiver and receiving yards, which is a wild stat. And you talked about his last 4, almost 7 targets, 5.5 receptions, 85 receiving yards per game, and half a touchdowns. He's seen at least 7 targets and eclipsed 90 receiving yards in 3 of his last 4. And what I love is he's on the field all the time. Week 1, he was on the field for 45 of 46 passing plays, ran routes on 44 of them. The Patriots front office has been talking about they were like stunned by his work ethic and just everything that they've seen, this summer. And it proved in week 1 that they're going to get him the ball. And just remember the talent of this guy. Like if he wouldn't have got injured, this is the same guy that led LSU in catches and touchdowns with Malik Neighbors and BTJ on the same team. So like he is
he just had a rough or whatever it was.
I mean, he had the injury too, which is really what made his drafts, stock kind of drop as well. So I love him this week and moving forward because I know Diggs is going to continue to eat into it. But you look, Diggs got targeted a ton last week too. Yep. But they just, Boutte is also seeing, that volume as well.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear that you're in on Boutte as well. Kyle, what do you got here? What are your thoughts here on a Dunze, Hunter, or Kayshon Boutte?
I think Boutte tied for the team lead in targets for the Patriots last week, I believe. But Dunze still had more targets than all of them. And I think the same for Hunter. So Dunze looking like he's the clear number 1 target. They're already like that transition from it being more to Dunze seems like it's already there. So man, I love hating on the Bears, but in spite of the upside of Hunter, I'm a little concerned with Boutte just because the injury he was dealing with this week. So I'm going with Boutte.
That's fair too. Ike, what do you got here? Are you gonna split it here, or are you gonna?
I really want to say Travis Hunter. I really do because you drafted him for this specific reason, and to be not playing him over like a Boutte or Dunze hurts you. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'd probably go Boutte. Right now, he seems to be with Drake May. They got a good connection. Travis Hunter still is working on things, and the Dunze and Caleb. We'll see on Caleb. We need to see more from him. So
Bears offense just a little bit of a roller coaster.
Nobody mentioned either. That Miami defense looked like maybe the worst in the league. And there's Carolina out there too, so that is significant to say that they might be the worst defense in the league. But that's the other big thing. It's a great matchup. New England needs to get this offense going because week 1 I was surprised. Like I didn't consider the Raiders to be a great defense, and they gave them issues. Like they had a hard time consistently moving the ball.
Yes, they did. Next one here from Patrick. Ike, we'll let you take this one away. PPR Flex 1, Ridley, Keon Coleman, who saw massive volume. Aaron Jones, who kind of got lucky with the late touchdown, and Jordan Mason, who looks like he could be leading the backfield. in rushing this year. So what do you got here, Ike?
I'm going to go Keon Coleman. I think this is Josh Allen's new number one guy, and he should see steady targets just like his previous number ones had before. Shakir will get his as well, but I'm leaning toward Keon Coleman. Trust the quarterback more than Cam Ward so far too. So
makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think the reason I wouldn't go Coleman is because there's an edge with one of the Vikings running backs. So Keith, I guess to ask you, knowing the Falcons, like, do you think there's a between Mason or Jones a particular way that the matchup is, whether it's the inside running with Mason, it seems like they're going to rely on, or that outside pass catching with Jones? Like, do you think there's a one way where the Vikings really can take advantage of the Falcons and one of those guys has a monster game? Because that would be the only reason. But right now we haven't seen enough from Ward and the Titans for me to pick Ridley over Coleman. I would definitely go Coleman if you want the receiver. But what do you think, Keith, about the running backs?
I mean, typically we struggle, at least last year, and I mean even the year before, with the backs more like Aaron Jones. But I was impressed with the way that we kind of contained Bucky Irving last week. Like, that's what was so frustrating about the performance, was like the defense played great. Baker and the Bucs offense, which I expect to be really good. Now, granted, they were out without Worf, but I would probably lean Aaron Jones just because we've been pretty good about not giving up rushing touchdowns. And that's one place they're actually pretty good against the run. But I am concerned about Mason gashing us on, just run plays in general. I think either Coleman or Ridley is a great play. The only concern I have about Coleman is just I don't know how many games the Bills are going to fall behind early like they did, 10-plus points. And I just don't know if he's going to get that kind of volume. Like, I think people are expecting like 7 to 8 targets every week. And this is a Buffalo offense that has proved the last couple of years. They want to run the ball with Josh Allen, James Cook, play action, and spread the ball around to make defenses have a hard time knowing and keying in. So I think Keon Coleman is going to have like some really good games and then maybe some not so good games. The good news this week is I expect a scoring fest. Like, I think the Jets are going to score points as well. But don't forget about Ridley. Like, he was on Surtain Island last week. That is the worst place to be as a wide receiver. And for 29 of his 34 snaps, that's where he was. When Surtain was not on him, he was targeted on 4 of those 5 routes. So I expect him to have a huge volume, but I understand maybe waiting and going with Coleman because let's see Cam Ward against, a elite defense, even though I do think the Rams defense is really good too, and he's going to have issues as well.
They might just not have a corner like Surtain that can shut him down, but I think we're still concerned with that pass rush.
Absolutely.
So based on that, Keith, I think the breakdown of Jones being the better, I've got it ranked that way. Jones still ahead of Mason, but with him not getting enough volume, I think I would go Coleman as well.
Right on. And then we got another follow up here for Patrick. Teteroa McMillan or Egbuka, a guy who we did a pretty good job on identifying in week 1, catching a couple touchdowns. Wasn't quite the volume we would have liked to see. But Kyle, what do you got here from Ted or Egbuka?
I think this looks like it's for real with Egbuka, so I think play him, start him pretty easily until Godwin gets there. Once Godwin's there, what does the offense look like? That's when I think you can throw a wrench in it. Bryce Young hasn't looked good enough for me to think, I expect, because the thing with Egbuka, he didn't lead the team in targets last week, but he still has that upside, whereas McMillan seems like the easy target getter that's going to consistently earn targets. But I don't think Bryce Young is good enough, certainly not compared to Baker Mayfield right now.
Right.
So I'm going with Egbuka. Let's continue to ride it until, again, he shows us not to. That's a theme I'm making with a lot of these week 1 blow-up performances.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Keith, where are you going here?
This is another one of those where, are you looking for a higher floor or a higher ceiling? Because I like Egbuka a lot. I would like him a lot more if Worf was playing, and he's already been ruled out. So that concerns me because this Texans front 4 is not the Falcons front 4. And the Falcons got a lot of pressure last week. So I am worried that the Texans are going to be in that backfield a lot. And Tet, there were some really encouraging signs last week. Like the volume, he's on pace right now for 153 targets, 85 receptions, 1,100 yards. The 27%, right, the 27% target share, I think, is huge. 41% of the Panthers' air yards, again, very big. And let's not forget, this Cardinals defense just allowed 17 receptions to the New Orleans Saints with Spencer Rattler. So I know Bryce Young looked really bad, and the questions are back about him, but I think he is better than Spencer Rattler. And the Saints receivers saw volume and caught receptions. So that's fair too. But
the fact that we're not for sure knowing
no doubt,
that's a concern.
That's fair. But I just again, I think Tet has a higher floor. I'd be shocked in a full PPR if he doesn't get 8 to 10 points. But we saw with Ibuka last week that he can put up points without seeing a ton of volume. I just worry, again, this is a much better pass rush than what the Bucs saw last week. And, once they get Worth back, it's game on for this offense. But I do have concerns about him until he is back.
Those concerns are totally fair, that's for sure. Ike, where are you going here from Tetaroa or Ibuka?
Ibuka, I trust the offense more, just a little bit more.
All right, totally fair. From Jonathan Santiago, we got pick one: Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams, or Travis Hunter, full point PPR. Ike, will let you take this one away.
Well, I haven't been saying Hunter at all, so I'll go Calvin Ridley. I think he can have a bounce back, and I like him slightly more than JMO, I guess, but that's tough. I think Calvin, I guess.
This is a tough one. Where are you going?
I think we had JMO versus Hunter in another question. I know I believe Ike and Keith, you both said Jameson Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I said Travis Hunter, and I'm going to stick with it. Again, I'm so concerned right now with the Titans offense. It's similar to the Panthers. Hey, these first overall pick quarterbacks doesn't mean they're always going to hit, and I want to see more from them before I start playing their players. So I'm going to.
All right, Keith.
Yeah, I would go Ridley again, just in the sense of I think his volume is going to be outrageous. But if you're looking for more upside, again, I do really like Jameson Williams this week. It's just we know what we get with Jameson, right? It's a risky play always because Jameson is a boom-bust dude. The good news is this is a week, a matchup, a lot of man defense, and a dome. We know Goff is much better indoors and against man. So he has a great chance to have that boom week, but there is always that concern. So I typically lean, especially early in the season, to just a guy that I feel more safe about, and that's definitely Ridley. Again, 4 or 5 targets, he got 4 targets on the 5 routes not lined up against Surtain. I think he could see 10, 15 targets easily today.
Sure. All right. Love that. Another one from Jonathan. Hockenson or Pitts? Are we all the way back in on Kyle Pitts? Take it away. What are your thoughts?
I want it to be real. I do so bad. But I would probably lean Hockenson here. The Falcons have had issues with tight ends, forever. And we still don't really have any linebacker that's great in coverage versus tight ends. The bigger concern I have with Pitts is just Mooney is back and London is playing. So, that's going to take away volume from him. It just is. He is the third option of those 3 when they played together. And Penix likes to throw the ball down the field, and I just see more of that going to London and Mooney. So I would lean Hockenson. Again, Pitts, I think, has more upside, but he's not going to get the volume they did last week. I'm pretty sure of that.
Okay. Kyle, where are you going?
Pitts doubled up Hockenson in targets last week, but like Keith said, there's context. Mooney didn't play at all. London got hurt. Both are active this week. So, yeah, I'm going to go Hockenson as well. In another game where Addison is suspended. It didn't really show last week. Kind of weird. Yeah. The offense didn't really perform until the end. Now that they've got that and they've clicked, do they click right from the start of the game too? So I'll go Hockenson.
Agreed. Clean sweep.
Yep.
Yeah, clean sweep here. For Patrick, we got a trade question. He got offered Terry McLaurin for Javonte Williams, which feels like a smash, but worries me heavily at RB2. And he's okay at wide receiver. He's got Lamb, Tet, Ridley, Coleman, and then Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, Benson, Javonte, Tootin, Mason. What are your guys' thoughts here? I think I hold if I'm him with Javonte Williams just because the scarcity at running back on his roster. Are you guys on the same page with me here? Or?
Yeah. The context of the roster matters for sure.
I think they're strong enough at receiver that we're concerned with Terry right now because he didn't have really much training camp with Jaden Daniels. As he gets better, we've been talking about it. We expect Calvin Ridley to also get better. So, unfortunately, I guess the way their seasons we expect them to go don't line up to complement each other, then you're having to decide between Ridley and McLaurin when that's like right now you don't really want to play either. And then later when you're going to want to play both, you're going to have to make that decision. So I don't really know what you're gaining by doing this. It's like I said, really limits their RB2. Like I'd want to play Javonte Williams this week. So I wouldn't want to take him out of the lineup, especially knowing that like it's always complicated with Thursday night trades, right? Like McLaurin's already played. So like, can you even make the trade now? If you make the trade, you don't get McLaurin's points, but you also lose Javonte's points. So I would, if you really want to do it next week, I'd see for next week, but let's see what Javonte does against the Giants. Commander's got, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merrick got a rushing touchdown. Maybe Javonte's touchdown streak continues. Give it one more week. Maybe something even better comes along. So I'd hold for Javonte.
Great thought, Kyle. Great thought. From Jason here, need one to start at wide receiver 2. Tet, Jerry Jeudy, Stephon Diggs, or Calvin Ridley in half-point PPR. Kyle, what did you start here? A lot of wide receivers here to choose from, and this is a tough one here.
Well, I would say I have a much easier time on the second part. I'm easily going to go Pollard over either Seahawks running backs.
I'm with you. Played 90% of the snaps for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Ryan Spears is still out.
Yep.
They're not playing the Denver defense. I mean, it's still tough against the Rams, but I think it'll be better. So I definitely want Pollard there. It's half PPR. I think I want Tetero McMillan. Half PPR, I think he's the guy I have ranked the highest. I'm debating between him and Jeudy just because the sheer volume of, again, pass attempts total that we think the Browns are going to get. Yeah, I don't love necessarily the efficiency of offense. I also don't love the Panthers' efficiency of offense potentially, but I think being the number one target, I'll trust the rookie again and go Tetero McMillan and Tony Pollard in this case.
All right, Ike, what do you got?
I'm going to go Tony Pollard strictly off of what you guys said about the snap percentage. That's kind of bananas for a running back.
Highest in the NFL, yeah.
For the wide receiver, don't be surprised if Diggs actually turns out to be one of the better ones of the 4, but it's hard to start him right now. So I'm going to go Tet just because he saw 8 targets, probably his number one option. Like Keith said, Calvin really could get heavily targeted though too, but I'm going to leave McMillan. I'm going to go with McMillan.
Does Diggs also feel like a guy that we expect his better performances later in the season? Like he's coming off the torn ACL.
More likely, yeah.
So that's also kind of leaning into me as well because he might be the number one target on the Patriots at some point this year, but not yet. Whereas McMillan already is. Like, it's only one game in, but we're already pretty confident.
Keith, where are you going to go here? Are you going to go Tetero or are you going to lean towards Calvin Ridley here?
I think I might go, believe it or not, Stephon Diggs. I just think this Dolphins defense is terrible. And they actually were pretty good, believe it or not, against the run. Like Jonathan Taylor, I think only averaged like 3.4 yards per attempt last week. And we saw the Patriots run game had a real hard time getting going as well, meaning I just think you're going to see a lot of passing volume against a secondary that just look what Daniel Jones did to him. I mean, it was one of the more shocking outcomes, I think, from week 1 was just how efficient he was and like throwing the ball down the field. Pittman, I think, had like 6 catches, 80 yards on just 8 targets. And Diggs did see 7 targets. Like, I think that the 3 main cogs in the Patriots passing game, which are Henry, Diggs, and Booty, have like just great matchups because I do not believe in the Dolphins defense after seeing what Indy did week 1 because I'm not sure if they're good. We'll find out today if they can do anything against Denver. So I think I might lean Diggs, but I'm good with starting Diggs, Tet, or Ridley. Again, Jeudy scares me a little bit just because he's been out-targeted in every game that him and Tillman have played together since they traded away Amari Cooper last year. And that's a 6-game sample size. So really, Tillman is actually the number 1 receiver. I mean, when you think about it that way from volume.
Yeah. Well said, Keith.
I don't have them ranked that way, but that's some good insight, Keith. Maybe I'll have to revise that before kickoff.
For what you guys said about Justin Fields earlier in the show, I lean that's where you guys are going to go here, but we're going to go Kyler Murray or Justin Fields here, quarterback.
Fields.
Murray's my QB6, actually, so it's really close, to be honest. But Justin Fields is my QB5.
Okay.
Panthers' defense looks awful, so that's the one thing that helps Kyler, but I'll still lean Justin Fields.
Yeah, and again, until something drastically changes. Only Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Lamar are quarterbacks that I'm starting over Fields. 19 points per game, basically now going back over 3 seasons. Also, expect the Arizona run game to run wild. Carolina has now allowed 200-plus rushing yards in 6 straight games dating back to last season. That's like impossible, but they did. Their last 5 games last year, and then obviously week 1 this year, 200-plus rushing yards. So that is a Carolina defense that just cannot stop the run.
No doubt here from Steven. Hey, guys, PPR, Jalen Waddle or Kenneth Walker, and then Ingram, Pitts, or Fannin. Keith, we'll let you take this one away. What are your thoughts here?
I like Waddle and Tyreek to have a bounce back. I think that there's going to be points in the New England-Miami game. I know it looked dreadful week 1, but New England is without Christian Gonzalez, and that's the big deal. Like, without Christian Gonzalez, we saw last week with, what Jacoby Myers did. Bauer, basically just the Raiders' passing game was on fire, throwing it down the field. I think that they're going to obviously design some stuff to Waddle, who's the more underneath guy. And I'm with Joe Bond that I think Tyreek Hill has a chance to have a monster like Tyreek Hill game where everybody's either sitting him or not playing him in DFS and then cussing themselves because he's really cheap, right? Like, it's
Usually
just a great
happens.
matchup. Like, without Christian Gonzalez, that New England defense really struggles versus the pass. That goes back to last year as well.
Yep, no doubt. Kyle, where are you going?
Oh, I'm sorry. And then Fannin for the second part. I didn't even see that part.
Yeah, I agree with Waddle. Full PPR, you've got a receiver we expect to earn targets versus a running back that looked like he was in a 50-50 split. I mean, the touches were, I think, 12 for Charbonnet and 13 for Walker. Now, Walker was the pass-catching back. I believe Charbonnet had 0 targets. So that, at least a positive sign for Walker, but not a good enough sign even in full PPR. I'd go Waddle for sure. It's funny because the Fannin Ingram thing seems really similar to me to the Fannin Ferguson argument that I made earlier of why go Fannin, in spite of the fact that Ferguson expect him to be number 2 target on the team. The way the Broncos and Sean Payton specifically over his whole career, you expect that also with Ingram. Compare Ingram to everyone else on that team. He's been a target earner. So expect him to be the number 2 target behind Sutton. It didn't quite happen. He also got hurt. So is he okay to play this week? I know he's active. It's funny because I have Ingram ranked higher than Fannin, but now that I'm faced with the question, I really feel like the answer is Fannin. So maybe I think sometimes these help to kind of revise the rankings.
Yeah, for sure.
Either gotta
it out. Yep.
Raise Fannin ahead of Ingram or drop him below, because right now I've got Ingram at 10, Fannin at 13. So there's a couple guys in between. Juwan Johnson, Mark Andrews are really going to hammer out. I just say Fannin should be ahead of all those guys. So yeah, I think Keith's convinced me. I'll go Fannin.
Ike, where are you going here? Waddle and Fannin as well?
Yeah.
All right on here. And the one from Patrick here. What's going on, man? J.K. Dobbins or DeAndre Swift? Flex 1. For me, it's Swift with all the snaps he played, similar to the Tony Pollard thing earlier that we talked about. But Ike, where are you going here?
I'm gonna go and be a homer and go Swift. I just think he's the guy there more, and he's gonna play a lot more. And I'd like to think the Bears have a bounce back game today. They need it. They need the run game to work. So.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Kyle, where are you going here?
Revenge game. Dan Campbell. We talk about, does Ben Johnson hate DeAndre Swift or not? I always felt that was overblown. I think one thing that was evident, Dan Campbell did not like DeAndre Swift.
Sure.
He made that clear in his press conference. It's very publicly known. I don't know if Swift has that same type of animosity, say the Eagles, right? He was there for a year. Okay, they moved on from Barkley, but Sirianni wasn't really throwing them under the bus publicly like Campbell would. So revenge game for Swift here. I'm definitely on it. And you said it, Dylan. This seems like the Tony Pollard situation. Roshan was out last week. Maybe that changes it with him active. Although the way they've been talking about him, I don't know that he was a big part of the plan.
Right.
It looks like the plan this
year. They like
is,
Menang guy more.
Yeah. So him being active, assuming he's active here, doesn't really maybe change the equation. So just like Pollard, looks like Swift's going to get a ton of opportunities. Go with that. I'm strongly regretting trading away Swift for Jones in the second in a dynasty.
Fair. Keith, where are you going? You gonna go ahead and sweep it here for Swift over Dobbins, or does JK intrigue you?
I gotta go Dobbins. I still think this Lions defense is elite versus the run. I mean, if you look at it, like Josh Jacobs, 3.5 yards per carry. Josh Jacobs is one of the best running backs in the league, and he struggled getting it going. And I mean, this Lions defense historically, I know they had a stretch last year, but think about all the injuries they had, right? Where all of a sudden they couldn't stop the run. The 2 years before, they were either first or second against the run. And week one, they looked like that defense again. I would assume, having watched Caleb Williams week one, I would sell out to stop the run and be like, I'm going to make Caleb Williams beat me. I think it's the inverse with the Denver game where Bo Nix looked really rough. The run game was good. And I just have a feeling Sean Payton, especially on the road, is going to run both backs a good bit and try to run the ball and let their defense just, cause havoc on Daniel Jones and the Colts. So I would lean Dobbins. I understand the volume is definitely Swift. He's going to have more, but I do like J.K. Dobbins more.
Dion Wallard, who I know listens to and watches Dynasty Six Pack quite a lot, he says Dobbins as well. So I guess we could call it an even split. Dylan said Swift, so I guess maybe not even.
Then we got just some news here, guys, that have come across the last 15 minutes. Juwan Jennings going to go through pregame warmups. Sounds like he's leaning towards playing. Quinshon Judkins expected to play just 10 to 15 snaps today. Xavier Worthy is going to be out week 2, but looking good to play in week 3. But he does have a fully torn labrum and would play with a harness. So anything him catching over his head, I don't know if that's happening.
You take one hit and you're just okay.
Yeah, super dangerous. And then we got Mason Taylor active. Jalen Wright is inactive for week 2, and then there it is. Juwan Jennings active. Trent Williams also active.
I'm going to tread lightly on Jennings though. If they're talking about he's still he's active, but if he tweaks something in warm out, he might just not play snaps, right? So I probably am avoiding playing Juwan Jennings.
And Mac Jones is the quarterback, so
no doubt there.
Only and then too bad for that injury.
And then from someone who picked up the Seattle's defense in a league this morning, Devin Witherspoon, knee inactive for week 2, which I don't.
That's not great.
So, yeah.
I chose Metcalf over Jaden Reed in the league, and it's since that decision was made, and everything lined up to that's way better. Ooh.
No doubt. Good call there, Kyle. Here from Cody, we got
that worked.
Yep. From Cody, Justin Fields or Bo Nix this week? Ike, where are you going?
Again, Fields.
Kyle?
I'm doing this in the league where I'm going Fields over Bo Nix. So
we've said enough so much about him that people, if they've been listening, should know it's Fields over everybody except for who Keith said. So
people you're not asking about, right? Like those are guys that are auto starts. So.
Yeah. Again, 2022, 20.5 points per game. 2023, 19.4 points per game. 2024, 19.1 points per game. And again, think about that Pittsburgh offense last year, and he still averaged 19 points a game. I like this Jets offense. Like, I really do. Like, Garrett Wilson and him are ecstatic. Like, they played together in college. We saw the connection immediately in week 1. I think Fields is just going to have a monster season, especially the way I just love the game plan that they had, where they even were running it sometimes on like 3rd and 15, because we know that's where Fields gets into trouble, is in those short passing plays. He ends up, trying to force the ball. They didn't even give him the opportunity to do it and still scored 30 points, running it 3 times on 3rd and 10 or longer.
I think it was the Matt Harmon podcast. They were talking about how the types of throws that Fields is really weak at, the kind of intermediate over the middle throws where you're having to layer between linebackers. They barely asked him to do that. What are your strengths as a thrower? That's the offense is designed around. So I think it's Tanner Engstrom. I know Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah, they do a coordinator of the week, and they talk about all the first time play callers were awful except for Engstrom. He really nailed it. He had a great plan going in and he executed really well. They didn't get the win, but the offense operated well. So I think we can trust Fields that this is the real deal. Because so many people are asking the questions. Clearly people are thinking, okay, was that just a flash in the pan or is it for real? I think we're all convinced it's for real.
Which I think it's a fair question, too, because now it's going to be interesting to see how defenses adapt to the point that you just made, Kyle, to where they only asked him to do from his strengths. But eventually defenses are going to be able to adapt to that, and we'll see how Justin Fields, bounces back after that as well. So from John here, we got Waddle or Olave, and then Fannin or Andrews. How much is the panic meter going off for Mark Andrews? Keith, we'll let you start here.
I mean, again, Fannin for me, like, unless it's one of the real studs, they made an emphasis to get him the ball. Again, he lined up in the backfield, he got a carry. They throw 2 screens to him, and then he also had an additional 6 targets. So they want to get him the ball, and I think they're going to be down. Andrews, I mean, he's just touchdown dependent at this point in his career. Like, I mean, we saw that last year. I know he had a great end to his season, but it's because he caught a touchdown like every week. And if you take away the touchdown, which I know you can't do that, but I'm saying the volume's not really there. This is a Zay Flowers offense in terms of the passing game. You just look at how much they're throwing it to him. He had a 55% first read target share last week, Zay Flowers, so they want to get him the ball in the passing game. And then I do lean Waddle over Olave. Olave, I mean, we saw it. I think he got like 11 or 12 targets last week. That's going to be consistent. It's just, can they do anything with it? Last week it was, so-so. Again, not bad for a PPR. I just expect Miami to at least put up some points this week, and I think that's going to mean a heavy dose of both Waddle and Hill.
No, makes sense. It was so wild for Baltimore to score 40 points and Mark Andrews score 1 fantasy point. Like that.
One target.
That was something, man. Kyle, where are you going here?
Yeah, I mean, as we've been talking, I've talked about raising Fannin, and I've looked at my rankings now. He's a tight end 10 in full PPR. So, yeah,
okay.
Fannin over
I
Andrews.
think that sounds about right.
For Olave, it was 13 targets, and in full PPR, he scored 12 points. So I trust the volume enough because we're having to project Waddle. I think he only had 4 or 5 targets last week. We need that offense to step up as a whole. We don't expect the Saints offense to step up, but it is what it is. But if that's an offense that's going to give Olave 13 targets, I'm willing to trust that again. I'll say Olave.
Okay. Mike, what do you got?
I'm going to go Fannin for Andrews. Looks like he's washed right now or something. I don't know what's going on with him. And I'm going to go with Olave. I'm going to chase the targets at least for now.
These guys convinced me. I'll make it a full sweep. Like, I do think that makes sense. I'll change it to Olave.
That's how little confidence we have in the Dolphins offense. Anyone who's like, yeah, go Dolphins, and it's one little argument. Anyway.
And then from JJ here, starting to say Flowers, Ricky Pearsall, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Warren, Tyrone Tracy, Jalen Waddle, Jamison Williams. Kyle, we'll let you take it away. Just starting 2 out of this group.
And not knowing if it's half PPR, full PPR, or no PPR. Either way, though, I mean, Keith said it. This is a Zay Flowers offense, so I definitely want to start him. Yeah. He's I think I've got him in the wide receiver 1 range. Wide receiver 11 in full PPR. I think in half PPR he's probably about close to the same. So I'm going Flowers for sure, and I think I want to trust the volume of Swift. We already talked about the sheer number of percentage of snaps. What does Pearsall look like with Mac Jones? I think he might be okay, but not enough where I'm going to pick him over a volume running back like Swift. So I'll go Flowers and Swift here.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair there. Keith, what do you got here? Flowers, Pearsall, Swift, Jalen Warren, Tyrone Tracy, Jalen Waddle, Jamison Williams.
Again, if it's PPR, like full PPR, it's definitely, for me, Flowers and Pearsall. I mean, we saw last year with Mac Jones, he will zone in on receivers. I mean, BTJ had some monster target games. Can't guarantee that it's going to, be fruitful, but he will, target the top, guys. Again, we don't know really what we're going to get from Juwan Jennings. And again, just like the Flowers point, he was wide receiver 27 in drafts this year. And it was one of the most mind-boggling things to me. I full-faded him. You look at like his production last year and the games he played, and also that offense was just so much better because obviously you have to put so many guys on the box to stop Lamar and Henry in that run game. And he's just so good in one-on-one matchups. And that's your choice. You can either have less people in the box, right? Or either you're going to have Zay Flowers in one-on-one matchups. And that's why he's just feasted. So I think as long as he's healthy, he is a wide receiver 1. Like, this offense is electric. I know this is a tough matchup, but I still think he's just basically a must start. If it's non-PPR or half PPR, I agree. I would go with Flowers and probably Swift just for the volume.
All right, Ike, where are you going to go?
I'm going to go Flowers and Swift. That's what I like.
here. From Jacob, full flex PPR, Cortland Sutton, Alvin Kamara, Jacoby Myers,
Oh boy.
Jerry Judy. Yeah. A lot of good options here. Ike, we'll let
Strong
you
team.
start. And where are you
Good
going?
for you, Jacob.
I'm gonna go Jacoby Myers because he's seen 10 plus targets in at least 6 of his last 7 games dating back to last year. Kamara didn't see enough targets, which worries me. Sutton's probably more touchdown dependent than Jacoby Myers. So yeah, I'm gonna go Jacoby.
All right, Kyle, how about you?
Among the receivers, I have Myers ranked the highest. Just, man, not pulling Kamara out of the lineup, the volume he gets, but it is the 49ers defense. So if you think that they come out and it's like the Saints score next to nothing, Myers is probably the right play for that. I think Ike's convinced me because I was going into this thinking Kamara, but I think Ike might be right. Myers this week with Bowers.
Oh, it hurts
100%.
Not playing Kamara because I like playing.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite players. So
yeah, that's why it's really tough. I saw this question at first, like, how do you pick against Kamara? But I think that might be the smart play in full PPR to go with Jacoby Myers. I agree, Ike.
Yeah,
Keith, you go with Jacoby Myers?
Yeah, it's clean sweep. I really hope Kamara sees a bigger target share than he did. I mean, he saw 2 targets week 1. That was one of the biggest surprises to me. I was telling everybody to start Kamara on DK because I just assumed at minimum he's going to get 5 to 8 targets like he has forever in this Saints offense, and that was not the case. So I have real concerns about him moving forward if he's more of just a traditional running back because his strengths are in the passing game. But again, they threw it a ton and only 2 targets. I mean, what is that? 33, 37, 30, 41 pass attempts, and only twice did they target Alvin Kamara. That really concerns me. So, yeah, it's Jacoby Myers who just, again, he's a name people don't like or love. But if you look at the data, like he is getting huge target shares, and it could be even higher if Bowers, say, either does not play or, is on a limited snap count.
Agree. Yep, great point there. From Tom. Andrews or Fannin? Think we all clean sweep the Fannin over Andrews here one already. So we'll just dive right into the Keenan Allen or Ken Walker full point PPR. For me, I'm not totally out on Ken Walker yet. I'm not panicking. You drafted him for a reason. Was it just a week 1 thing, you guys think, that the Chargers are going to throw that much pass volume, like maybe just a little bit to surprise the Chiefs? Or do you think that sort of pass volume is kind of for real now for the Chargers? Like, you're nodding yes. So what are your thoughts there?
it's going to be a mix of that and what we saw at the end of last year, where Herbert's going to get his 32 to 35 pass attempts, with some games meaning more. I mean, you're not going to rely on a rookie running back and Najee Harris the whole time. So, and you got to give Justin Herbert play to his strengths, which is passing the ball with all of those receivers and all that. So, no, it'd be a disservice to make them run more, to be honest.
Interesting. All right, so you're going to go Keenan Allen over Ken Walker?
No, not just because
okay.
I said that. I still think Lamb McConkey and no, I'm still going Ken Walker, but I was answering the Chargers offense. I think they're going to be more explosive.
All right. Kyle, how about you? Where are you going?
I mean, if the narrative of, okay, they did this to beat their division opponent, the Chiefs, and now if they've got the edge up in the division, like right now, it's like whoever wins this Raiders-Chargers game is 2-0 in top of the division and kind of a leg up on everyone else. So I expect another high passing volume game, at least for this one. Those run-heavy scripts might come later in the year if they're blowing out teams. I think a division opponent, I don't think the Chargers are arrogant enough to approach it. Oh, it's the Raiders. We'll run over them. They're probably thinking this is a huge game. So Keenan Allen led them in targets last week. I don't expect that'll, like, it was 1 target more than McConkey, but like those two, like that was like 19 of, it was basically half of Herbert's target to those two. Yep. I'm going to go Keenan Allen over Ken Walker. I talked about it on Dynasty 6-pack. I don't think you're benching Walker everywhere, but before this week, he was an auto start in every league. We wouldn't have even thought about it. But after what we saw last week, and showed, okay, this isn't just Ken Walker show. This is a true 50-50 split, and maybe he'll have games where he overcomes that. But for now, I'm kind of viewing him as a committee back, and every week I'm going to be deciding every league, okay, do I have enough good options or no? And I think Keenan Allen is a good enough option.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. I started Roma Dunze over Ken Walker in a full PPR this week. I feel pretty
I like that
confident
too.
about that. Keith, where are you going to go here?
I mean, it's close, but I think I'd lean Kenneth Walker. The Steelers' run defense was really bad last week, and they're missing Harmon, who's one of their big, guys in the middle, D tackle, and Joey Porter being out. Like, I think that you definitely want. Like, Seattle wants to run the ball and then let Sam Darnold do what he does best, which is play action. And I think that is going to be, again, the plan. Like, you're going to see both backs. He's not going to get, the snap share that he did last year. It looks like it really is a 60-40 deal. He got 2 of the 3 carries inside the 10. Like, it looks like he's going to get slightly more than Charbonnet. But I do think this is a good matchup. I mean, again, Breece Hall, we'll see if he is really back. But, I mean, he averaged almost 6 yards per carry versus Steelers defense last week. Caught 2 passes
19
for 30
carries
yards.
too.
Yeah.
Like, it was volume as well.
And I think that you're going to see a very similar, game script from Seattle. And again, like, I'm very interested. The Pittsburgh-Seattle game is one of the more interesting ones to me because, like, is the Jets defense that bad or was the Steelers offense that good week 1? Because I did not have the Steelers offense being one of these that could put up points and move the ball at will, especially when they didn't even run the ball well, which is what's really crazy. So I lean Walker because I really do. I think Seattle's going to lean on that, especially on the road. They do not want Sam Darnold back there, throwing it 30, 40 times. So I lean Walker, but I'm okay starting Allen too. I think the Chargers are going to be a pass-happy offense. They got 3 really good receivers who are elite at getting open, and Johnson is just like, again, he's another guy. He's been top 5 in receiving yards going back to the last month of last season and the first, week of this one, which I did not have that on my bingo card for sure.
No doubt there. What do we got here? As we approach the top of the hour, guys, we're going to start going a little bit quicker here on the questions, but we are going to make sure we get everyone's in here. We appreciate all the comments, questions. We truly do. It's all great stuff. But from Jamie, start 2 quarterbacks here. Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Drake May, Bo Nix. Pretty good quarterback room for you there, Jamie. Keith, we'll let you start first. Start 2 out of the 4.
Again, Fields is an automatic start for me. I really do like May this week, but I have to start Justin Herbert, seeing what we saw last week, especially how much he ran, which if he's going to start doing that, like, he is going to be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy for sure. So I would go Herbert.
Like, built like Josh Allen too. So
yeah, no, for sure.
And I think we do expect May to run as well.
and Bo Nix.
Yeah, but Herbert's got everything. He can run, and the high passing volume, the high touchdown upside too is there. So yeah, Fields. I mean, I've got Herbert at QB7, so like they could both start to be considered like every week starters for now. I know Jamie, my co-host on Dynasty Sick Back, he loves Drake May. We'll brag about how he won Fantasy Court because it was the right call on Drake May. But I don't think it's the right call to start him here, not over Fields and Herbert.
Same thing, Ike, for you?
Yeah.
All right. Dion here. Travis Hunter, Hollywood Brown, Quinton Johnston, Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins need 1 wide receiver and a flex in standard scoring. Keith, take it away here. Where are you going? Standard question.
Again, I think I have to go standards. I would go Quentin Johnston, and then I would start Dobbins. Again, I just think that you're going to see them try to run the ball. Like, that's what Denver needs to do. Knicks looked really bad last week, and they need to run the ball, I think, for him to be an effective quarterback. I think that's fair to say. And again, Johnson is just, we're looking at now a 5-week sample size, plus the hot start he got off at the beginning of last year. So I'm going to lean Johnston and Dobbins.
All right, Kyle.
Yeah, this is one where you'd favor, if it's full PPR, you'd probably favor Keenan Allen over Johnson. But with no PPR at all, yeah, Johnson's definitely the preferred Chargers option. Hollywood Brown led the league in targets last week. And again, mentioned, I think, was that Joe that mentioned, or was one of you guys on this broadcast? But that wasn't the plan. The plan was Worthy got hurt, and then they had to kind of piece together something, and it ended, what they had was Hollywood Brown was a target monster. Last year, week 17, though, I think his target share was quite explosive too. So the games with Mahomes and Hollywood Brown, especially now that Rice and Worthy aren't there. I want to go Marquise Brown for sure. And then, like Keith said, it's standard. So you favor the running back and Dobbins. So I flex Dobbins for sure.
Yep, I'm with you guys there. Ike, same with you.
Yeah.
All right, from BD, good to see you back here again this week after us helping you last week, man. PPR, well, hopefully we helped you. Full point PPR, 1 wide receiver and a flex, Jawan Jennings, Jordan Mason, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Malik Washington, deep league it looks like here. Ike, we'll let you take it away first.
The flex, I'm doing Jordan Mason because out of all these guys, I probably trust him the most. Jennings is dealing with injuries. I still might. Troy Franklin saw 6 targets or something like that last week, which was more than Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims should bounce back though. Man, I'm gonna do it. I'll say Troy Franklin, but I'm gonna say it. Yep, Jordan Mason and Troy.
With some conviction, Kyle. Where are you going?
I like Mason for sure as well. He gets that many carries in this pace. None of these receivers, I think, we expect to earn enough targets. Jennings is tempting in spite of the injury just because Kittle's not there. But I think because of this injury, clearly the risk is so low that, yeah, I'll agree with Ike. I'll go Mason and Franklin.
All right. Love it. Keith, how about you?
Yeah, clean sweep. Colts have a lot of injuries in their secondary. So I'm good with it.
Good to hear. Keith, we'll keep it with you. Tyler Warren, Sam Laporta, non-PPR. Who you got?
Seattle was so bad versus running backs.
I'm thinking Tyler Warren.
Oh, is it? You're right.
That was my guess. I just
You're right.
At that
No. That makes more.
Question, maybe it's a flex spot and it's Warren.
Non-PPR again. I'm gonna have to go Warren. Like he looked like immediately went to him with design plays right off the bat. Yeah. Remember how quickly that game was over, or who knows how many targets he would have got. I like both of these tight ends a lot, but I think I would lean Warren because I think the Colts are going to have issues, moving the ball. And typically when teams have issues moving the ball, look for a lot more underneath stuff and creative ways to get their pass catchers the ball. And I just think that could mean, Tyler Warren.
All right. Ike, what do you got?
I'm going to go Laporta because it's non-PPR. I think Laporta has the best shot of scoring out of the two.
Okay. Kyle?
Sorry to your Bears, but look on the hat, going for 2. And that's where I've got Laporta ranked tight end 2 this week. So
nice.
Okay. All right.
He and Warren had the same amount of targets last week. They were tied for second in among tight ends across the whole NFL. So I think it's real that Laporta is going to be back to being featured like he was in 2023, less like 2020.
Kyle, where are you going here out of a flex position, full point PPR? Pacheco, who was not involved very well last week. Tyrod Tracy, Quentin Johnston, or Khalil Shakur at the flex?
I'm going Shakir. He looked good coming off the high ankle sprain, and it looked explosive. They targeted him 9 times. In a game where the outside corners for the Jets are pretty good. Is this where I like Coleman this week, but maybe I do like Shakir a little more. And certainly I like him more than anyone else here. So I'm going to Shakir.
Keith, how about you?
Yeah, Joe the Brain Matz loves Khalil Shakir this week. He gave a bunch of stats on our DFS show why exactly what he was saying. The Jets, they can stop outside receivers. They have real issues with receivers in the slot. Khalil Shakir is the guy in the slot. And even when this team runs a lot, Shakir usually sees 6 to 8 targets. Like he is their consistent guy in the passing game. And I think you're going to see that again this week. He's got a great matchup.
Totally fair there. Ike, where you going?
I'll go Shakir. Crazy how far Pacheco's fallen off, though, that he's in this kind of grouping.
Is that 5 touches last week or something in week 1?
5 carries, 3 targets, which was exactly what Kareem Hunt got. They split the workload 50-50. Exactly. It was
another one from Cody.
There were the Chiefs ran 0 plays inside the 5, so we don't even know who the goal line back is. That hasn't been revealed to us yet. So we're still just what do we do? Sorry.
Fair point. Good point there. Kincaid or Jonnu Smith at tight end, full point PPR? Keith, we'll start with you. What do you got?
Come on. This is an Arthur Smith offense, and Jonnu Smith is in it. We were reminded 20% target share last week, 33% target rate, 3 design targets.
He loves his
That's
boy
big.
John.
He loves him.
Mhm.
In his last 13 games in an Arthur Smith offense, he has seen 6 or more targets in 8 of them. So
That's
I
where I'm
love
going.
Janu Smith.
Yep.
Kyle,
I have
clean
to-
sweep here.
No, but I do concede that I was wrong about Fryermuth over John. I know Joe talked about that on his recent episode of the F6P Power Hour or whatever it's called, the F6P Hour, 6-pack hour. And
Yep.
I'm bad with names. No, I've got Kincaid still ranked pretty highly. Again, back to, do they target Coleman less because of this defense, this Jets defense, maybe more vulnerable to be attacked with a Shakir and Kincaid? He did great. He got the touchdown. He only had 4 targets, though, so it's needing him to take a step up. I think he will, so I'll go with Kincaid. Be the black sheep, I suppose. The black sheep.
We'll
or the
play
black goat.
PPR. Javonte Williams, Jordan Mason, Trey Benson, Quentin Johnston, Michael Pittman, or Keenan Allen. Just pick one out of those guys. Man, Michael Plant, what do you got going on over here with this team? Keith, take it away, man. Who you got?
I got to go Michael Pittman, even just in a brutal matchup. I just think he's going to see volume. I expect Denver to be up in that game. I was wrong about Emerson. That was one of my biggest whiffs this summer. Was I thought Downs was going to be the guy, and we saw immediately that they're going to get the ball to Pittman and Warren. Like, that's the top 2 objectives of that offense, and I don't think you can say that about any of the other guys, especially in a full PPR.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Where are you going?
I'm going to go Pittman, although Javonte would probably be my next choice.
He's got a great matchup.
Javonte seems safer. Like, Pittman might get Surtain. Like, there could be a really low floor, but if he, let's say he doesn't get shadowed, or like there's maybe higher upside with Pittman. So again, maybe safety to upside. I think early enough in the season, I tend to lead safety. So I'm leaning Javonte Williams, especially like this seems like the time of year to play Javonte. Like, he's getting most of the carries now. Sanders fumbled last week. He really didn't do much after that. So is this something where, as they're hesitant to put Blue in the lineup too, I don't know if he'll be active today or not.
Yeah, it'd be
Do we
interesting.
know
to
that
see.
actually? Do we know if Blue is active?
I have
I'm
not
not sure.
seen the Jaden news quite yet.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm leaning Javonte either way, but if he's out, that certainly makes me want to play Javonte even more.
Sure. Next one here, Ike.
Jaden Blue is inactive. Jaden Blue is out. So yeah,
Man.
I'm gonna go Javonte Williams.
We got one from Will here. DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, full point PPR going against one another here. Ike, where you going?
Swift, I'd like to think he'll catch a few more balls than Dave Montgomery. Plus, although Dave Montgomery usually plays well against the Bears, I'm still going Swift.
Kyle?
Swift. We talked about the volume already. I like that. Here.
Keith?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Lions need to get the ball to freaking Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, quit the 60-40 split. Like, I understand once you're up or
You're 70-30.
over, but like,
Captains is pretty good, but
I get that. But early in the game, they're taking Gibbs out in a huge game versus the Pack. Like, I just don't understand that. He is, I think, their best player. Like, at least on the offensive side of the ball, leave him in the game.
Agreed.
Yeah, no doubt. Superflex question. Need
Oh, boy.
to. Stroud, Flacco, Mac Jones. Keith, where are you going here?
Whew. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Flacco is the definite start for me because he's going to throw it probably 50
So
times.
much volume this week.
And then I'm going to lean Stroud here because I again, really tough matchup. The Rams had the highest PFF grade in the pass rush, like their defensive front. I think he's going to have a little bit more time to throw. And I still trust this Texans offense. Again, we'll see this week, but I do trust Stroud way more than I do Mac Jones.
All right, Kyle, where are you going?
yeah, I've got it Flacco, Stroud as well. They're all outside my top 20, so this is, I don't think there's any great options here, but
Yeah, it's a little
Flacco
tough.
for the volume, I think. I'm starting him in a couple spots. Maybe that's just my optimistic take of, yeah, I'm with you, BD. Like, I'm riding Flacco as well. So it's, oh boy.
Ike, you make clean sweep here, Flacco, Stroud?
Mm-hmm.
All right, another one from Mike here. Kareem Hunt, Ramondre Stevenson, full point PPR. Kyle?
Yeah, I just checked my rankings, and I do have Stevenson a little higher. He led the Patriots in carries, and that's enough. Hunt tied for the team lead in carries with the Chiefs, so who knows? Like, I still think we don't know the full split of these backfield yet. It was just enough that Stevenson getting more carries showed that, okay, the transition to Travion Henderson isn't fully there yet. So I'm leaning Stevenson. But
Ike, Hunter Stevenson.
I'll go Stevenson, I guess, until he fumbles, and then he's basically dead in the water.
that might be today, though.
Keith, what do you got?
Jalen Carter's back this week, so I'm going to go Stevenson. Otherwise, like I do like Hunt because I think he's going to be like the short yardage in the goal line, back. They love to do that, but this week with Carter there, I'm going to go with Stevenson.
The Browns love to do that when they had Nick Chubb, so yeah, it's for some reason, Kareem Hunt. I heard on a podcast, if you need to get him to get you 2 yards, he'll get you those 2 yards. Anything else, he'll still just get you those 2 yards.
Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne after a huge week, Khalil Shakur, Keenan Allen, Flex One. Ike, where are you going?
I'm gonna go Etienne. I think he's.
Why not?
I think he's back.
They traded Tank Bigsby too. Kyle, are you gonna go Etienne as well?
Etienne here. It was the Panthers defense, so let's see. But I don't know that the Bengals defense is that necessarily elite. So yeah, I'll go Travis Etienne. We saw like Dylan Sampson caught a ton of passes, right? So if that pass catching role is there, and it looks like he still has that, because I believe Tootin got 0 targets, and that was supposed to be kind of one of the things he was better at. Like, is he going to come in and get the pass catching role? I think LaQuint Allen out targeted him. So Etienne seems safe for the passing down duty, and that worked so well against the Bengals last week.
Yep, great point, Keith. What do you got?
Yeah, as long as this is not like a half PPR or full PPR, because again, I do really like Shakir today. I agree. I would go at ETN.
Okay. From the parlay guys, we got Pickens, MHJ, or Igbuka in the flex spot. Tough question. Half point.
I think I would take McMillan out. I'd go Marvin Harrison and Igbuka and take McMillan out.
I think I would too, Kyle.
We already
Starting 2 Buccaneer wide receivers, though, is never. I mean, it's an offense to do that with, but
yeah, is this a game script where we think that's good? Again, if you're ever going to play Evans and Igbuka, it's when Godwin's not there.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're not doing it now against the Texans, like, are you ever going to do it?
Then you probably need to be trading one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the hype of Igbuka, right? Like, this would be an amazing sell. So I'd probably play both. I'd be willing to play both against the Texans.
Keith, how about you, man? What do you got?
I can't play both of them versus the Texans. Like that is an elite pass rush, and Derek Stingley is a really good corner. Like
no trips and works, right? Like
and that's what I'm saying. Like I think that's risky. Like I'm okay playing Igbuka over Evans because I'm assuming Stingley's going to be on Evans, but I think it's really risky to play both of them versus the Texans. So I would probably put Harrison Jr. in there with them, even though, again, they're going to run all over Carolina, but I think they want to, prove he's a number 1 receiver. Him and Collar continue to get that, connection, and then what better time to do it than against the Carolina Panthers?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I lost where I was at.
I think here I've got it for you.
Nope, you're good. Better tight end play. Didn't we go? We had a similar question. Might have been the same one.
Yep,
Ferguson or Fannin. We went Fannin, right? Majority. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Zach Charbonnet or Nick Chubb, full point PPR. Keith, you gonna go the Georgia Bulldog here? Or are you gonna go
it pains me, but no, I'm not. I'm going with Charbonnet. Again, I think that Seattle has to run the ball against this Pittsburgh team. I know he didn't catch any passes, but that's like supposed to be one of the things that Charbonnet is good at. So I lean him. I would love for Nick Chubb to have this great comeback, but he's had so many knee surgeries. I think that we're kind of looking at the twilight of his career.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you got?
Actually go Chubb because I think Ken Walker is a far superior competition than Damian Pierce. And I could see Chubb just getting more volume as a result of it.
I'm going Charbonnet. Charbonnet.
We got one from Jody, 12-man PPR. Needs one in the flex, it looks like. Booty, Charbonnet, Fannin, Sampson, Khalil Shakur, Strange, or Cedric Tillman. Keith, where are you going here? It is full PPR. You get to go Shakur?
All right, so we got to go with like our gut and be honest here. I have Cedric Tillman. This is a dream matchup for him. Ravens run a ridiculous amount of man defense, and week 1 versus man, 25% target rate, 2.08 yards per route run, 41.7% first read target share, 2.5 fantasy points per target. I love Tillman today. It would be Tillman or Shakir, and then I would have like Boudier, Fanta. This is what a freaking roster. You might want to maybe make some
probably
trades.
take one out for Keenan.
Yeah.
Keenan out for one of them.
I mean, this is
yes,
great.
I would do that. I would go Tillman and Shakir over Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
I agree. That's a great call. You know what? I'd do it for DJ Moore too. I'd take one of those guys out. Actually, I mean, how do you guys feel? Like Moore really didn't get targets. I think I'm actually leaving Keenan in and taking DJ Moore out to play Shakir and Tillman.
I don't mind that though. We talked about Rome being
the got
great
Booty
roster.
and Charbonnet on the
That's what
bench.
I'm saying. This is a great roster. Like great roster.
Good job, Jody. But yeah.
Yes, very good. From Juan here, needs RB1 and RB2 in a flex spot. Kamara, Javante, Kyron, James Cook, DJ Moore, Travis Hunter, Ramondre Stevenson.
Kyron's automatic. I mean, when the Rams in
James
games
Cook
that they
is too, I
lead,
think.
he's going to get like such volume. He scored in 7 straight games.
I want to play all 3 of the 4 running backs.
I agree. Kamara, Kyron, and James Cook.
Yep.
That's where I would go as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hunter is tempting, but not over those running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't
From
say
Cody
full or
here.
half PPR, but even in full PPR, I'm going with those running backs. Sorry.
Marvin Harrison Jr., Tony Pollard, Odunze, or Keon Coleman at the flex, full point PPR. Ike, what do you got?
Pollard and his almost 100% snap share is what I'm taking.
Okay.
I was going to say just the same question, right? It was the volume running backs. I think the same thing here. The volume running back in Pollard.
Yeah,
I'm really
he had almost a
struggling sticking
20%
Marv there,
target
but,
share
yeah, I get it.
last
That
year in
is
the
true,
passing game too. Like I think people forget that Pollard is a really good receiving back too. So
Yes.
I think that the highest floor is without a doubt Pollard. Obviously, those other guys have a chance to break out. And if the Cardinals were playing just about anybody else, it would probably be Harrison Jr. But 200 plus rushing yards, 6 straight games allowed by the Panthers. I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of Trey Benson and James Conner today from Arizona.
Good point. Question here from Brandon. Good to see you here, man. Tyrone Tracy, Travis Hunter, Ken Walker, Charbonnet, half point PPR, start 2. Kyle, what do you got?
I think Travis Hunter. I mean, I've been pretty aggressive in playing him. And as long as Tracy looks like he's the lead back for the Giants, I'll continue to go with him over Ken Walker. I've got it ranked that way. That really hurt my heart to say that sentence and have that in the rankings. But with Charbonnet and Walker splitting it, it looks like there's less of a split for the Giants. So I'm leaving Tracy for that purpose. Later in the season, we might
Walker
get
a little bit
clarity.
more too.
Yeah, especially if he's the pass catching back, like full PPRs, but then Tracy seems to also be favored in full PPR. Until we get more clarity on what the Seahawks are going to be, I go with Tracy. I think later in the season, assuming Scadaboo eats into his work more, maybe one of Charbonnet and Walker emerges that they become a better play. But for now, let's stick with Hunter and Tracy.
Okay. Ike, what do you got?
I'm going to go Hunter and Walker just because I think it might have been a fluke a little bit that Walker just was, I don't know, non-existent. I feel like this might be a better game for him.
Walker didn't really have much of a chance either. I don't know if you guys saw, but he was getting hit right when he touched the ball in the backfield. Keith, what do you got here?
I'm going to abstain so I don't make it even more confusing. Let's just leave it at that.
All right.
Did we at least agree like who was the for sure starter?
Yeah.
Travis Hunter,
Sharps.
right?
For that. I thought you meant between
Seahawks.
Hunter.
So at least we gave Brandon that clarity to for sure play Travis Hunter, and then I guess take the money back. Sorry.
So pick 3 here: wide receiver 1, 2, and the flex spot. Devontae Adams, Hollywood Brown, Kelvin Austin, Quentin Johnston, Kayshawn Boutte, Henderson, Nick Chubb, Charbonnet. I think we're still locking in Devontae Adams, right? In one of the spots.
Yeah, there's a lot of good metrics for Devontae last week that he's going to be just fine.
Then are we going to go? Wow.
I'm leaning Hollywood.
Boutte, Quentin Johnston, Hollywood Brown. Yeah.
I think I've already made like Hollywood over some of those guys before. I'll stick with it. I've got him ranked pretty highly this week. Where do I have him? Wide receiver 16 for Hollywood Brown. So I just like Adams, I lock those 2 in.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning
I have to have Boudier in this again. If you look at the last 5 or 6 games he's played. I mean, he's seeing such a monster volume. He's averaging almost 90 yards per game, and he scored 3 times in the last 6 weeks, and Miami's defense sucks. So I'm cool, though, with those 3. The one, like the 2 guys, again, if it's just a standard league, I would consider, Quentin Johnston would be the other guy.
More touchdown upside, whereas Booty, we were thinking more
he
volume.
seems to score all the time. Like if you look at the
don't actually know the
touchdowns
settings
compared to receiving, it's crazy for receptions.
There we go. Fannin or Juwan Johnson. I think we all went Fannin earlier, right? Yeah. And then start 4 here: Olave, Coleman, Jacoby Myers, Sutton, Devonta Smith. Man,
First 4.
I'm good with that.
You see, with Goddard out, I kind of like playing Devonta Smith, and we just saw him torch them during the Super Bowl. So I think bench Coleman,
and
Coleman or Olave.
Yeah.
I think I would actually. I think I'd bench Coleman. I'd bench Coleman. Just he might get sauce.
Okay. Then we got to drop someone to pick up Herbert and bench Baker.
Drop Johnson. I mean, like tight ends.
Pick up Herbert.
You can always find a tight end unless it's one of the elite guys. And go get Herbert because if he continues to run and they throw the way they are, he's going to be
top 5,
higher score. Quarterback than Baker.
If this is one QB, I don't mind cutting Baker
for her. Still, I'd rather get rid of Juwan and have the option of Baker.
Sure, but I would definitely cut. Like I'd keep Hampton and Montgomery for sure over Baker. But an extra tight end I can do without because if you're willing to cut Juwan Johnson, I imagine there's another tight end starting. You can.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good enough tight end. You can find a bye week fill in later. So.
Dylan Sampson or Ken Walker? We're still on Ken Walker here.
Ken Walker.
Sampson.
Kyle shaking his head. No, you're gonna go Sampson. Okay.
Pass catching back. Expect a ton of passing volume like we did last week. I don't like Quinton Judkins' first game. Like they've already said they're going to limit him a lot. He's barely practiced with the team, so I don't know. I used to rank Kenneth Walker as my dynasty RB1, and then they drafted Charbonnet, and the dream has been forever shattered. Where I'm picking Dylan Sampson over him, but man,
sure.
And then he adds Jordan Mason later, but I'd still go Sampson. I like what we saw from the passing game involvement, and I don't think there's any guarantee that Judkins plays ahead of him. If Sampson looked that good, Judkins might also look good, but if he's not, like to me, there's no reason the team doesn't just have Sampson be the lead back, maybe the workhorse back.
Keith, what do you got?
I still like Walker. I mean, again, he saw 2 of the 3 attempts inside the 10, so he's going to get, at least a majority of them. And he outsnapped him. And I just think this Pittsburgh defense, we might have seen like a weakness in it that we hadn't seen in a while where they struggled with the run last week.
Okay. Then we got Cortland Sutton and Emeka Egbuka in standard here. Like
Sutton,
and you want a touchdown, so go Sutton.
Scares me to say this because I love Ibuka, but I mean, again, look at the Colts secondary; it's decimated this week. I think they're missing 2 or 3 of their players in the secondary.
I don't really like any of those defenses necessarily.
I like the Cardinals just because the Panthers really doesn't look good. So that's the one.
I think the Cardinals is the right pick.
Aaron Rodgers can always turn back into what he was last year, and the Seahawks might turn out to be a good defense, but still, maybe Aaron Rodgers is back to MVP for him. Who knows?
Look at Arizona's schedule, too, the next month. Like, Arizona is not only a defense you can pick up this week, but they actually have great matchups, I think it's the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, next one here from Courtney. We got Judy or Pearsall.
I think I was going to say Judy before, but Keith is kind of convincing me with the Tillman stuff that Pearsall, Judy might not be the true number 1 there. And Pearsall looks like he's going to be by default just because everyone else is hurt. So
I think,
I suppose.
Pearsall.
We like Pearsall too.
Yeah.
Standard league, we got James Cook or James Conner, Travis Etienne.
200 plus rushing yards in 6 straight games is James Conner.
I would put touchdown bets on Connor or Benson or something.
I'll go James Cook and James Conner. And the reason to not play Etienne, yes, he was great last week, but against the Panthers, and Connor gets the Panthers this week. So I'm definitely favoring Connor to Travis Etienne.
Totally fair there.
Waddle
I
or
think we had
Walker,
this
I think.
question.
Full
We had it
PPR
earlier.
Waddle.
We went
Waddle.
Yeah.
Waddle, yeah.
Waddle, baby Waddle. James
Conner.
Conner or Keenan Allen? I think
Conner.
we'll go
James Conner.
Conner.
Carolina has allowed 200 plus rushing yards in 6 straight games.
We'll say it's
We'll
6
keep
straight
saying
times
it.
if we need to.
Say it with me.
Baker Mayfield
That one's a
or
little
Dak
tougher.
Prescott.
I like Dak until worse back. Like I think this
Yeah.
Texans defense is really good. You look, I mean, I know Puka had a huge game, but the Rams are a great passing attack, and even they struggled with a healthy O-line versus this Texans front. I do think that Tampa Bay is going to have a little trouble throwing it.
I view them as really similar archetypes. I think that Giants, I mean, the Texans secondary, I think, is much better than the Giants, but the pass rush could be just as dangerous.
True.
So,
Giants pass
actually-
rush is pretty
I mean,
wild.
I guess it was just against the Falcons. Sorry, Keith, but maybe that's why. But Baker did look good and he produced better. So I'm leaning Baker right now.
Falcons, though, again, a team that
I
has
know, it's
never
the
got
Falcons,
pressure,
right?
had the most pressures in the NFL week 1. So, like, that to me shows that you now get Daniel Hunter and, like, those guys with the Texans going
That
after.
they convert
That's
pressures into
trouble.
sacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But is that also like is Baker just really good playing against pressure now? Like is he like
He is
developed
really
that
good.
into his
I agree
skill
with
set?
that. I just also am concerned that, like, Washington just had so much trouble with Green Bay's front. New York had 0 sacks and not a ton of pressures versus Washington
Yeah.
week 1. Like, is that front four going to be that dynamic? Because they weren't in a situation where they could really get all the pass rushers out there, because if they do, people just, like we saw it last week, run it down their throat. So it's another one of those games I'm very interested to see what the Giants defense is moving forward. I just think Dallas at home, like I like that. If Worf was playing, it would be Baker for me, but I got to lean Prescott.
Okay, I've got them quite a bit a part of my rankings. Maybe I have to kind of revise them. Maybe I'd have Baker too high.
I thought Worf was going to be back this week, but I just checked. He's been ruled out already.
Well, Marion Hampton or Tetaroa McMillan here?
See Hampton
Ted.
against the Raiders.
Yeah, standard, I would go Hampton. Like PPR, half PPR, I go Ted.
Okay, I think I'm going to go Hampton regardless. I just feel like a good match against the Raiders. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they're a good defense.
Zay Flowers over Jalen Warren. We all doing
Yes.
that, right?
Yes. Even in standard, I'll do that.
Yep.
I just think Flowers' ability to gain yards.
What's up, Dean? Stephon Diggs or Travis Hunter?
Diggs.
I'm
I'm
sure
actually
with-
doing that in the home league.
Okay, interesting. I'm the opposite. I'm just again still concerned a bit with Diggs' knee. I'll go Hunter for now.
Keith, you like
If
Diggs
he
too, right?
plays too much defense and it really affects him, I'll change from there. But I'm
Yeah,
I made that clear with Hunter. I'm be aggressive playing him early.
I lean Diggs. I just, it does concern me that, and it makes sense. Like, they're playing Higgins and Chase. They've already came out and said he's going to play more defense. I just think him playing more defense means less offense. So again, Diggs saw 7 targets coming off of knee surgery in the first week, and they're playing Miami this week, which I think is definitely one of the 3 worst defenses and teams in the league.
Right on. Then we got Cortland Sutton, Tetaroa McMillan. We get to go Sutton here.
Yeah, standard for sure. PPR though, I would go Ted.
I see. I think I'm okay sticking with Sutton in PPR as well, just from the simple fact that like they're both the top targets on their teams. And right now, I know Bo Nix didn't have a great week 1, but I have more faith in Bo Nix than I do.
Fair enough. Here, one from.
We missed one, by the way.
Where'd we
It was,
go? Where'd we
Trey, Fannin, or Ingram. I think we answered that earlier.
Fannin.
Going all of us.
It's
going
Fannin.
Harold Fannin. Just
Yep.
wanted to make sure Trey got his question answered
Here.
in case he missed it earlier.
Good call, Kyle. Appreciate that. And then we got Hollywood Brown over DJ Moore this week. I think it seems like we're leaning that way, right, fellas?
I mean, I'd go Hollywood over Roma Dunzin, and he looks like the real number 1 receiver on the Bears. So
All
easily.
right. And then just a little bit of context to Jody's question earlier. He has Tyler Warren start in short bench space, so he couldn't decide his stash 2 QBs. Baker.
Yeah, I
Herbert.
dropped one.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We got one more.
Yeah, with
snuck in here.
Tyler Warren, you can
Yeah,
even
yeah.
against the Broncos this week. You're just playing him every week. What he showed week 1, I think you can lock him in to be a top 5 tight end this year. So you're worried about you're holding Jawan Johnson for 1 bye. Like that's all you need is the Colts 1 bye week to cover, and then you don't need another tight end the rest of the year. And if Warren gets hurt, so be it. Like that, like you're probably not gonna be able to replace him anyway. So you're banking on why hold someone for 1. Now, I guess to that point, if you're just gonna play Herbert every week, it's the same argument with Herbert and Baker. Why hold Baker for just 1 week? If you're playing Herbert for then, okay, when Wirfs is back, you're playing the matchups. That makes it make sense to why you'd cut Juwan Johnson. Because then you're never going to play the matchups between Johnson and Warren, but you could maybe do that with Herbert and Baker if Baker shows enough once Godwin's back, once Wirfs back.
Great point. And now we got Goff versus the Bears or Mahomes against the Eagles here.
Easily Mahomes.
I'm going to go Mahomes too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Njoku.
Yeah, I'm going Njoku as well.
Njoku over Johnson. Yep. All right. I think that's totally fair. Guys, this was a blast. Ton of questions. I'm glad we got to them all. Sorry, Keith, we cut your time a little short here.
You didn't cut my time. I'm going quick, so don't you worry.
I love it.
Rapid fire. Have your notes ready.
Just want to remind everybody, listen to or check out Ike's injury impact article. Ike, when does that come out? Tuesdays?
Mondays,
okay. And then Kyle, you got the goal line usage article, right?
Yeah, it'll be goal line report for these first 3 weeks, but that's going to transition less about the usage and more about the weekly matchups starting week 5. So that'll be fun. Be able to share them here on the show too, and how I use it to kind of help impact start-sit decisions. So I think it's a perfect tool to start. So that'll be week 5. But yeah, for now, the goal line report is just showing who gets the most usage inside the 5 and the teams that seem to be really efficient, at least on a week-to-week basis.
Awesome. And also make sure to check out Kyle on the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel with the Dynasty Six Pack podcast. Awesome show there. And then you just catch me on this show every Sunday, guys. I'm here to help you. Cody, last question here. We got Cortland Sutton, Jerry, Judy, full flex, full PPR. We're going to go Sutton here. Yep. All right. Love it. Keith, I'll hand it over to you, and I will talk to you guys next week.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, real quick, going to just run through the cash game plays for DraftKings, which, again, I recommend. I just think it's easier to predict what's going to happen when you're considering you're getting a full point per reception. Quarterback, it's pretty much Justin Fields everywhere for me, 5,800. Went over this a bunch on the show earlier. At least 19.1 points per game each of the last 3 seasons. Came out week 1, almost threw up a 30-burger. I trust him. If I was going to play another QB, May is somebody to consider at 5,200. I mean, last week, only 11 rushing yards. He still scored 15.8 points. So that's a pretty safe floor. Again, we're always looking for 3 times their salary. You know, he eclipsed that at his price this week, despite not rushing, which is what May does. He runs a ton. The running backs, I love CMC. The volume is going to be outrageous. And as Dave Eddy says, and we love you, Dave Eddy, volume is king. 31 touches in the opener. He had the most expected fantasy points. And again, that's a game that Kittle was in, Purdy was in. He saw a 30% target share week 1. I expect that to actually be higher this week. Chase Brown is one of my favorite plays this week, 6,800 versus Jacksonville. Led 5th highest expected fantasy points last week. You may be wondering, well, how did he have such a bad game? Because apparently the Browns' front four is pretty good. He had negative 43 rushing yards before contact, meaning that consistently the Browns were tackling him literally in the backfield, or at least getting their hands on him. That's the most since Next Gen Stats started keeping that statistic. So when you think of it that way, his 43 yards was actually 86. He avoided 7 tackles, which was the most of any running back last week, had the 10th best yards after contact average. And I just think the Cincy's offense is going to get back this week. And then on top of that, he had the highest opportunity share among every running back not named Tony Pollard, 92.3%. Kyron Williams, 6,300, another guy that I just loved this week. Only Chase Brown and Tony Pollard had a higher opportunity share. His was at 90%, by the way. He scored in 7 straight games. He now has 32 rushing touchdowns just since he earned the starting job in 2023. He's a touchdown machine. He's rushed for 50-plus yards in 16 straight games. R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins just torched this defense for 133 yards and a score on 22 carries. And typically, and if you believe this, which I do, the Rams should win against the Titans fairly easily. In those games, Kyron usually sees a huge uptick in his volume. Wide receivers, I like Garrett Wilson, 6,500, played 100% of the snaps, ran 100% of the routes, 7th in target rate, 3rd in target share, did great against both man and zone, over 3 yards per route run, 36% first read target share. And this is a Bills defense that on only 15 targets gave up 11 receptions, 188 yards, and a touchdown. Joe Matt's really convinced me. JSN at 6K versus Pittsburgh. I mean, come on, what are we doing? Volume is king. 59% target share week 1, 66% first week share. So, yeah, I'm going to play him, especially with Joey Porter out. Again, I think that's a really smart play. I love these two cheap plays. Kayshon Boutte, 4,500. Last 4 games, almost 7 targets per, 5.5 receptions, 85 yards per. He's 5th in receiving yards. If you look back to the final 3 games last year and the opener this year, seeing at least 7 targets and had 90-plus yards in 3 of those 4 games. Was on the field for basically every play. Week 1, 45 of 46, ran routes on basically every play, 44 of 46. I think he's a great deal. And then Cedric Tillman at 4,300. If you think the Ravens are going to score, which I do, I think he is an unbelievable value. He saw 8 targets, caught 5 passes week 1, right? Was top 10 in separation score and route win rate among wide receivers. In the game since they traded Amari Cooper, he has averaged almost 10 targets, 9.6 per, 5.8 receptions, 18 points per game in PPR standards. He's averaging more targets, receptions, yards, and fantasy points than Jerry Jeudy in those games. He faces a Ravens defense this week, ran man 41% of the time. It's one of the highest in the league. Only Detroit, New England, and the Jets ran more. Tillman's numbers week 1, 25% or versus man, 25% target rate. That's good. Over 2 yards per route run. That's great. 41% first read target share. That's good news. And then 2.5 fantasy points per game. He feasts versus man. The tight end position, really, it's Harold Fannin. And I'm okay playing 2 Browns. Like, if you're asking me, yes, I think the Ravens are going to be up. I think they're going to be throwing a ton. His usage week 1, huge deal. 72% snaps, 67% of the routes. I just love how they used him. 29% of the time, he lined up in the slot, 6% in the backfield, and the rest of the time he was lined up as a tight end. What was great was he didn't eat into David Njoku. He actually ate into the wide receivers. So, I mean, I think it's really going to see him on the field. It's like the number 3 receiver a lot of times. He also had a rush attempt, 2 screens. Again, they want to get him the ball. And this is a defense that just made Dalton Kincaid look fantasy relevant. And we know he's not. Like, Kincaid's not that guy. And then finally, the defense, it's LA Rams everywhere, 3,100. We saw last week what Denver did to Tennessee, and I feel so bad for Cam Ward. Could you imagine starting against the Denver's pass rush, and then you're like, okay, got done with that, survived, and now I get the Rams. 3,100. It's one of those weeks that I don't have a lot of really expensive plays, so you can easily fit in a 3,100 defense, which I normally never do. So I hope you guys have a great week. Your DFS lineup slap. Be sure to join the Discord, and we'll see you guys soon. If I can figure out it.